The final play of the regular season for the final spot in the playoffs. Tyler Loop from 44. Snap good. Hold it. The kick is no good. It is wide right. And the Steelers are the champions of the North.
Live from New York. It's the show that texted the group. Oh no. I wasn't being sarcastic. I just wrote, oh no. I felt really upset and sad and nervous for Brew, who is currently not here.
How can you blame him for not being here? It's as bad as it gets. Is he coming?
Here's the trumpets. I like that he's wheeling it with his broken arm.
Brew, do you need help?
I'm in pain. That wouldn't hurt, Nick.
You didn't want me to help you up, buddy?
I think I can manage.
This is...
Golly.
Oh no. Oh.
Hold the chair.
Chair's got
Hold
wheels.
his chair.
What?
I didn't know. All right. Situated. It's a rough loss.
Do you have palsy?
It's a rough loss.
Face.
They always putting me in a bad position.
That's true.
Always. Man.
Do you want to start the show? I'm not 100% sure how you're feeling.
You know I play through pain.
That's
Wilds.
true. That's true. Old
And
school.
I'm playing through a lot of pain today. I'm playing hurt.
Physically and
Like the
emotionally.
rest of Flock Nation.
Wow.
I'm playing hurt.
One wing.
Yeah, you got
all I
more
got
than
left.
wings.
That's all I got left.
I think we got to start.
I just wasn't sure.
I think we should start.
First hour, first things first. Today, the end of the road. Where do Lamar, Harbaugh, and the Ravens go from here? Meanwhile, Myles sacks Burrow, Brown sacks Stefanski. And is there a chance Coach Prime is headed to Cleveland? And finally, Purdy and Caleb. Who had the more concerning performance? Alongside Nick Wright and Chris Broussard, I'm Kevin Wilds. Bro, how long are you going to be wearing the neck brace?
I mean,
it's stabilizing my neck.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good.
The rest of the week, probably.
yeah,
Okay.
I would imagine.
We're going to start with a likely grab and an unlikely miss. Isaiah Likely's catch on 4th and 7, or 3rd and 7, not 4th and 7, sets up a 44-yard kick for Tyler Loop. He misses the kick, and the Ravens miss the playoffs. Here's Lamar.
You know what's the emotion, Jameson. Like we did all that, man, to come up short, bro, you know? Devastating, furious, all type of, I don't know, I'm everywhere with it right now.
Okay, Brewer, you're surprised your Ravens fell short.
Well, Wilds, as you guys know, last week and going into the weekend, I was very confident.
Yeah.
I put a fresh coat of dye in my hair for today's victory lap.
It looks great.
I mean, I wasn't fooling nobody. Everybody knew, right?
I didn't know. I feel betrayed.
But then, as the game approached, I began to think about some things, Nick. Like, they're 8-8.
Yeah.
They haven't played good football all year.
Yeah.
And then, at the beginning of the third quarter, their best defensive player, Kyle Hamilton, gets hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, really, sadly, Wilds, I'm not surprised. I'm gobsmacked! Thunderstruck! A brother is stupefied. I can't believe had it in the bag. Enough of this. The box.
Oh, the box.
The box.
This is too much. The sad music again?
Yeah.
I'm putting all this stuff away. This
Oh,
Raven
not the neck
stuff.
brace.
Well,
All this.
save that, though.
That's part
You're
of
gonna
the,
need it
That's
in the
part
future.
of the Raven stuff.
Yeah.
Everything has to go into the box.
You want me to help you with the robe, bro?
I think I got it.
Oh.
I think I got it.
It's a sad
I'm glad
day.
to take this mug off. I'm gonna be honest. It hadn't been a good year for. I mean, at least the past few years, at least they gave me a nice regular season.
Yeah.
Even the Jordans, I'm going full Nick Wright on an airplane and letting my feet
Keep your socks on.
in the wind, Wilds. This is Nick on airplanes when we travel. Let your feet go in the wind. I'm doing that the rest of the show. But the box,
Oh, no.
sad.
Sad day.
It's going to go in the basement with all the goo?
Yeah, until next year. And look, we'll see about next year.
so much goo.
We'll see about next
Yeah,
year because
they
who
might
knows
not.
what the Ravens will look like.
That's right.
If Lamar's gone,
Wow.
Lamar's
I'm
not
gone.
going
If
anywhere.
I know, but if he does, I'm not going to be with the Ravens.
The-
But look, I'll be quick.
7 minutes in.
The bottom line is this. The Ravens have done, or did last night, Nick, what they have done for the last few years, the last 3 years when I've been picking them and rooting for them and all that, they found a way to lose.
Correct.
That's really what it boils down to. First, you had this, I believe we have the video of the Steelers tush-push play. Now, if you can look, I don't know if we can slow it down, look at it closer. The Ravens aren't even set.
Yeah, they not want.
How in the world? And the quarterback, he goes right over where they're like going all over the place. I mean, what in the world is this?
Taken out by a.
Yeah, like, what is that? How you gonna stop it when you're like not even paying attention, right? You're trying to set up. All right, that's number one.
Yeah.
Number two,
Yeah.
Awuzie on the touchdown pass from Aaron
He fell
Rodgers. He slips. I'm not sure. Can we zero in on where he just
right here,
gets juked and slips?
That was an accident, though.
Oh, okay. None of the other 32 teams seem to have accidents like this in huge moments.
Okay.
All right. And then, of course, everyone has seen it now ad nauseum.
Yeah.
A 44-yard field goal attempt. And I know, Nick, some are saying, they should have ran Derrick Henry to get a little closer. I agree with John Harbaugh on this, that, and 99.9% Henry doesn't fumble. But in the small percentage or chance that he does, then you're getting crushed. And it's not like it was a 54-yarder. It was a 44-yarder.
And
any NFL kicker should be able to make that kick. I get it as pressurized, but that's where you live as a kicker. And so they just found a way to lose the game.
So let me start there, and then let me go micro to macro on that end of game sequence. You guys have heard me say this about 10 different things, 100 different times when we talk about football, which is one of the reasons I love the NFL, and I love the small sample size nature of it. Everything matters.
Yes.
In every part of your season, everything matters. Derrick Henry fumbling in September might have cost them this game in January. Because had Derrick Henry not fumbled in those big spots early in the year, then maybe with 14 seconds left, one timeout, sitting on a 41-yard field goal at the time for a rookie kicker who had already kicked the ball out of bounds and gotten yelled at by Lamar Jackson for it, John Harbaugh would have said, you know what, let's give us a chance to make it from a 41-yarder to a 34-yarder or maybe a 0-yarder because Derrick Henry's known to pop a run every now and again.
Sure.
But I think because of the fumbling, and Derrick Henry's been brilliant all year. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He hasn't been a fumbler throughout his career, but I think that maybe sticks in your mind. So everything matters.
And bottom line, they probably aren't fighting for their playoff life if
not
he
for
doesn't
that.
fumble
But
against
I'm
Buffalo.
saying even if if they had the exact same record, the exact same spot, but Henry hadn't had some high leverage fumbles throughout the season,
Right.
Maybe they run the ball there because it wasn't just that they were sitting on a 41-yarder. They went backwards to a 44-yarder. It's in notoriously the single hardest stadium to kick in football that you have just seen one of the best kickers somehow miss an extra point. So there's that. That's the micro. Right. The macro is, in Week 18, they were who they have been all year long. A defense that for part of the game was awesome and part of the game was awful, but the whole game couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. An offense that at times makes plays where you're like, yeah, that's the only player in the league that can make that play. And oh my God, and Derrick Henry's his running back.
Great running back.
And then at times goes totally dormant. A team that is not super highly penalized, but man, the penalties seem to all come. They don't seem to have a lot of meaningless, who cares penalties. And to go back to the
they
decision.
almost had one on that, or they had one on that last possession.
Absolutely.
That could have cost them an attempt at
the Jawan Taylor Memorial illegal formation by the tackle. And then a coach who can get oddly, I think, conservative in weird spots, which was to me the center the ball, not run Derrick Henry. But again, I'm not killing him specifically for that. But this is who the Ravens are. Yeah. And it's who they've been. They lose games as favorites. They lose games where it felt like they had 10 ways to win it and only one way to lose it. They lose games where their quarterback, who we're going to get to in a moment, has some all-time highlight plays, but also some just bouts of total non-existence or what was he thinking moments. And so that's who the Ravens are. So to me, I'm not surprised because the coach, the team, and the quarterback, who I trust in a spot like this more, were all on Pittsburgh. And I know it sounds...
Really?
Yeah. I don't, and we're going to get to, I don't like.
Quarterback and who?
Coach, the coach, team overall, and quarterback. Yeah, I do. And so it doesn't surprise me that the 8-8 Baltimore Ravens, with all that talent, found a way to lose the game. It's awful that it happened in that fashion. The one thing I would say is, if not for an easier kick by a better kicker being missed a minute before, that kick's not to win it, it's to tie it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like a missed kick, there was the missed extra point was way more shocking for a guy who had missed an extra point in 8 years than the missed field goal. And so I know they could have made the field goal and they would have gotten the win, but a missed kick went in both directions.
Tyler Loop's first miss inside 50 all year. Ends the year 29 for 30. Let's look specifically at Lamar's game. Found Zay Flowers a few times, set up the winning kick after a mundane first half. Ends the day with a 121 passer rating, almost 240 yards and 3 touchdowns. Third loss this year, Brew, with a passer rating of 120 or better. Do you think Lamar helped or hurt his big game reputation?
Look, I think he helped it. I mean, and he wasn't perfect. First half, only threw 6 passes. Now, one was a 38-yard touchdown, had like a high passer rating in the first half. And then the third quarter, they hardly had the ball. And he did have the interception, so that was clearly on him. But in the fourth quarter, it was,
but he was getting balls batted down. He had 4 balls.
Was it 4?
Well, he had 4 passes deflected, PBUs, but I thought he had 3 at the line of scrimmage.
He had another one after the interception.
I just view those differently than throwing into traffic.
I know you do. I think it depends, but go ahead.
It happens to all quarterbacks at times. But bottom line, fourth quarter, he was incredible. That was vintage Lamar Jackson, period. And look, I get, and I was, during the first half, clearly it was all Derrick Henry all the time, which I was fine with. I did feel like you got to throw it a little bit more. I thought, but I'm not going to be critical because I've been calling for him to give Derrick Henry the ball, and they did it, and he was effective. He had over 100 yards first half. But I was working a few more passes because I think they could have scored more points in the first half. But bottom line, fourth quarter, he was great, Nick. And he made 2 plays. We were talking about it off the air. This first one where he avoids this. I don't know how he avoided that sack.
Yeah,
and then to throw it 50 yards on, that was perfectly
one of the best
thrown.
plays of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a fantastic play, and that's why he's a 2-time MVP. And then on 4th and 7, when at this point I did think it was over, and he throws a beautiful pass between two Steelers.
Amazing.
And Isaiah Likely, credit to him, makes a fantastic catch. I mean, had to go up high. And Lamar had to throw it high to get it over the linebacker, 56. But great catch, great throw. So I think he played, it wasn't a perfect game, but I thought he played great. He had a 121 passer rating. You showed Wiles. And Nick, let me show this quickly because his big games, and obviously he hasn't been perfect in the playoffs, and he's had turnovers at critical moments in the playoffs against the Chiefs and the Bills. But these are his last 4 playoff games over the previous 2 years. The numbers are right now a few more turnovers than you like, but still, numbers are great. He's great against Houston in the win, great against Pittsburgh last year in the win, and then was up and down against the Bills and the Chiefs. He was
just down against the Chiefs. They scored 7 points. He had 2 turnovers.
He had a touchdown. He had threw for almost 300 yards.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with most of what you said. That graphic doesn't move me much because
those are big games. Every playoff games, not just the ones against in the AFC.
No, those are all big games. But that's 4 games, and in my opinion, he played objectively very poorly in one of them, and he played poorly in another one. And then he played great. Yeah, the Bills. And so the Bills game is what I'm going to allude to here because listen, his fourth quarter, and this is where sports can be unfair and cruel. If Loop makes that field goal, none of how he played changes, and that fourth quarter is regular season legendary. You know what I mean? As legendary as it can be in a because that is a playoff. I know Wiles get mad at me. It wasn't a playoff game, but it was a playoff game.
Yeah.
And so
pretty close to a playoff.
Right. It was as close to a playoff game as you can get. And
same thing with last year with Mark Andrews dropping the pass.
That wasn't for the win. That would have gotten you the tie.
Right.
And so, and here's his numbers in the fourth quarter compared to the first 3. And it is stark. The first 3 quarters, at the very beginning of the fourth quarter, Collinsworth does a whole monologue about how Lamar hasn't done anything. You know what I mean? He had the 1 touchdown pass, he says, for 39 yards, 29 yards, whatever it was. And other than
outside of that,
he's done nothing. And then he lights fire. And the 4th down play was unbelievable. But here is what I think is somewhat objective reality of how we grade sports figures, all-time great sports figures. It's hard to get a ton of credit for digging yourself out of a hole that you helped create if you don't dig yourself all the way out. It's what happened in that Bills game. That Bills game, he was part of the reason they were trailing. He then was awesome in the second half, but they didn't get over the hump.
I think it was more so the Bills game than this, though. He didn't do much, but he didn't.
No, I just thought they had opportunities in the opportunities. Pittsburgh was not doing much, and they had opportunities to be in position.
They should have been up a lot more at halftime.
Right, that's the point I don't think it's too much to ask. Can we get 60 minutes of excellent football from Lamar in a spot like this? This is once they keep losing these games as favorites. Yeah. They're the favorites at home against Kansas City. They score 7 points and lose. They're the favorites against Buffalo in Buffalo. They dig the big hole. They can't quite dig themselves out. They come this close. They're the favorites against the Steelers team that all week long, the conversation on this show was no DK Metcalf, how they're looking, the Ravens team. And so did he help or hurt his big game reputation? The reason I would say he hurt it is because, here's why though, and I think you might agree with me in this regard, because the only way to actually help his big game reputation is to go on a playoff run. And because they lost, he can't. Like, this is going to be I don't think that he choked in this game. In fact, far from it. He didn't do much early, and then when the stakes were the highest, he played, I think, the best football he's played all year.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Absolutely.
KW probably was ready to be like, if the game kept going the way it was, well, Lamar's clearly hurt. If he played the fourth quarter the way he did,
he's starting to like move around. I'm like, oh, this looks
he
like
moved a
Lamar.
little better.
But this is the big game reputation is about this graphic. It's his playoff win-loss record compared to the other legends. These are the other multi-time MVPs.
Right. That's different.
And
if we're just talking about playoffs.
No, but I guess what I'm saying is the only way to really help that
playoffs,
is they needed to win this game. So he had an opportunity to improve this
But I do think you can't, and even last year, big game against the Steelers in the regular season, he's great. Big game in the playoffs, he's great. So, but the bottom line is he does have to win, even if he doesn't play that well.
Sure.
If they had continued, say the first half the way they were playing, and at the end of the game he's thrown 15 passes, doesn't do much, but they win, that actually helps him more than what happened yesterday, because at the end of John Elway wasn't great in Super Bowls, but he won them. And you see there are other players, Peyton Manning's second Super Bowl, he won. So he just needs to win.
Can I ask you one quick question, KW, before we go to Harbaugh real quick? You said it was vintage Lamar. Here is the one place I will disagree. He doesn't run anymore. Even yesterday. He didn't, he got caught down. Scrambles. I mean, how many yards he run for? Like
9. Well, 9.
9.
Sacks.
And so, no, I don't think that doesn't include sacks. He
only had like 9 yards.
9 yards rushing. But
he was evasive.
He was evasive.
Yeah.
He was evasive.
We'll see next year. We'll see how hurt he, next year, can he run?
All right, we're going to quickly talk about John Harbaugh. Lamar was asked about his future with the team and also about his coach's future. Here was his response.
That's you asked me about next year, Jameson. I'm so caught up in what just happened tonight. I can't focus on that right now. I just told you. He asked me, "Are you stunned?" I'm stunned right now. I'm still trying to process what's going on. I know we lost, but what that's all.
All right, Bruce or Nick, do you want to go here?
No, Bruce, go.
Should the Ravens move on from Harbaugh?
Well, first of all, with Lamar's response, I don't doubt, obviously, he's stunned. I mean, I think everybody was stunned by the way that ended, so I don't think he's lying about that. I'm not thinking about all that stuff, Nick. I think he's telling the truth. But even in that situation, if you're asked about that, you can say, look, Coach is my man, of course we want him back, or, he's been with me my whole career.
I think that's fair.
You know what I mean?
It was a weird response.
Yeah, you can even say, look, I said last week, Coach and our relationship is great, it's fine, but that decision's above my head. You can even say something like that. If they had asked him, do you want Derrick Henry back next year? He'd have been as stunned as he is, of course, yes, I want Derrick Henry back. So I think he showed that, he may be ready to move on. And the bottom line is, yes, I think they need to move on from John Harbaugh. The things we showed on that tush-push highlight, that's a coaching thing. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not saying the players don't have any responsibility, but there's too many times. I think the penalties in the big games.
Well, show the blown double-digit leads. It gets lost in this because of how the game was played.
Yeah, he has more double-digit. Yeah,
they were up 10-0.
And he has more double-digit leads blown than anyone in the last 6 years, last 5 years. So
is that partially because they get a lot of 10-point leads?
I'm sure it is part, but we did that. Yes, they do get a lot. They still, even when you adjust for that, blow a wildly disproportionate amount.
And it's time, 18 years, I think they need a new voice. Because here's the thing, Nick, what's going to change next year? Lamar's he's not going to be better, not much better than he's been over the last 3 years, this year notwithstanding. Derrick Henry, you just hope, is as good as he's been the last 2 years. What's going to change if you don't make
and I can tell the look on your face, it's a be careful what you wish for.
Grass
it's always a risk. I agree with that.
The hot name out there is Kevin Stefanski.
No,
look, no go.
I would look at him, but he hasn't had success with quarterbacks. No, the guy I want is Brian Flores. If I'm the Ravens, I want he continues the defensive culture, and he could obviously have Lamar.
So we'll talk more about this with Coach, and just give me 30 seconds, Dust. Because I do think it's a be careful what you wish for.
No question.
But I am I am going to focus on Lamar's answer there because, and I try to have very thick skin,
Okay.
I have taken something of a beating for being an alleged conspiracy theorist because I keep talking about this Lamar Harbaugh rift and I have no evidence and I don't know what I'm talking about. And I just have this platform because of my boyish good looks. Lamar Jackson does not want John Harbaugh back. And if he wanted John Harbaugh back, when he is asked, the final thing we are going to hear from Lamar Jackson all year
That's a great point.
at that podium, do you want your coach back? Even if you kind of don't want him back, but you just be like, yeah, of course, coach is my coach. It's the only coach we've had. I'm devastated, but yeah, of course. No, and then behind the scenes, be like, get rid of him.
Right.
You didn't even do that.
Didn't even do that, yeah.
It was, I am not even going to give a superficial public vote of confidence because he doesn't have one. And I've been trying to tell America this for 3 months. And I don't know what the Ravens are going to do, by the way. That doesn't mean Harbaugh will be gone, but Lamar Jackson made it very clear where he stands on that.
Do you agree what's going to change if they bring back Harbaugh?
Well,
You're not going to be better than you were 2 years ago.
Is who the quarterback is. But I don't think
better
they're
not
going to
even
do
think
that.
about that.
Vintage Rodgers and a beat-up Broussard. That's next on FS1 on the Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM. I'll tell you what could change. You're way below 500.
Oh, yeah.
It's always a risk to get a new coach. I mean,
I wouldn't.
when you have a good guy, good coach. Yeah.
Nearly home. Isn't home where we all want to be? Reba here for Realtor.com, the pros' #1 most trusted app. If you're hearing me, I'm going to assume you're awake. And if you aren't, because while you're snoozing, someone else might be finding your dream home. That's where Realtor.com comes in. With over 500,000 new real listings straight from the pros every month, that's a lot of chances to find the place you've been dreaming of. Whether you're searching for a 2-story mid-century with a pool or a little extra space with a spa-inspired bathroom, Realtor.com can help you find it today. So quit hitting that snooze button. Realtor.com isn't sleeping on finding your dream home, and neither should you. Download the Realtor.com app today, cause you're nearly home. Make it real with Realtor.com.
Pros #1 most trusted app based on August 2024 proprietary survey. Over 500,000 new listings every month based on average new for sale and rental listings. February 2024 through January 2025.
It's all led to this in 24 hours. Stafford versus Drake versus Myles Garrett.
Hold on.
And for a while versus JSN.
shakeups on the ballot.
Maybe Sam Darnold.
Wait, you're leaving out an obvious.
Maybe the Prince.
Yeah, buddy.
The culmination
He's gonna
of
be on
Bruce
there.
Ballot Tuesday, 3:30, right here on
3:30.
First Things First.
Bruce Ballot extravaganza tomorrow.
Welcome back to the show.
can't
Coach
wait.
Mangini is here with us. Steelers win. Rodgers throws for nearly 300 yards, leads 2 touchdown drives in the fourth quarter before a Boswell missed extra point, puts a scare into the Steelers. But the kicking karma looped back around as Loop's missed field goal put the Steelers into the playoffs. Here's Mike Tomlin.
I've admired him from afar for a long time. It's good to do it with him. But again, as I've said multiple times here in recent weeks, this was the vision in the spring when we pursued him. That's why you do business with a 41, 42-year-old guy. Been there, done that guy with a resume like his. He's not only capable, man, he thrives in it. And I think he put that on display tonight.
Okay. Are you surprised by Rodgers'
Surprised?
performance? Okay. Don't do it. Don't
Surprised. It was part of my 3-0 weekend, which, by the way, is a tease for 5 o'clock. My 3-0 weekend juxtaposed with Danny's 0-3 weekend.
Wow.
I'm just letting you, Brew, this matters to Brew. He said I was fighting for the regulation's honor. Flipped the picks competition to the 3 to 5 show from 5 to 6.
Major
but
collapse.
We'll get to that later.
Major collapse by Parkins.
Major collapse. But when we talked about it on Friday, he has not come through in a spot where the whole football world was watching him in 5 years, since January of 21, that he had, since then he had a home conference championship game loss to Brady. He had the home playoff loss to the Niners where they scored 10 points, the home loss to the Lions to get into the playoffs, and then had not been in all the eyes of the football world on you. Can you come through? And it looked shaky for a while there. Kyle Hamilton going out helped. But like the other thing we said on Friday was, can he just make a couple huge plays? And the throw down the seam, was it to Thielen?
Yeah,
there was
stupid.
There was
Perfect
one
throw.
to Thielen,
Well
and then
done.
there was one
Freiermuth.
to Freiermuth right over the guys, as Collinsworth said, an ear hole. And then the Calvin Austin play was open. But the Freiermuth throw was great. The Thielen throw was his best throw. It was weird to me, Coach, that he kind of panicked when the headset went out because I was like, I thought you were calling your own plays anyway. But regardless, this is the other throw.
That's
unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And he did just enough. And so I'm not surprised. And we're going to get into this in a minute, I think this team's a little scary.
Oh, wow.
And in part because, Coach, he's been a different guy his last 5 games. The first 11 games, they're 6-5, 19 touchdowns, 8 picks, 190 passing yards a game. Last 5, 2 of which, with obviously one of them was terrible, the Browns game, but 250 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, no picks. He's playing his best football right now.
This whole season for me, he surprised me. And his whole approach, leaving the Jets and going to Pittsburgh, I didn't think it was going to work. I know you were a big believer in it. Obviously didn't love what happened in New York, but since he's been there, and you heard him talk about on the broadcast, talked about him leading meetings in the building, leading meetings outside of the building, making sure that everybody was on the same page. He hasn't had any issues with Arthur Smith. He's really only been a distraction one time when he called out the receivers for not going to the meeting. But now,
that was a positive response to that.
Maybe that was actually true, and it seems like what he was in New York, he's taken this opportunity to scrub that away and try to redefine how the end of his career is going to go. And that's translated. I thought he had a chance to be an MVP or lead the Jets to the playoffs when he went to the Jets, and that wasn't the case. But now he's not reinvented himself, but maybe just gone back to the guy that he used to be and is very comfortable being part of the program as opposed to being the program, and this is translated into them getting this playoff opportunity.
Yeah, look, he was great. I was surprised because I didn't expect much from him, especially without DK Metcalf. And I thought you showed the great throws he made, Nick, but Coach, watching that game, I was like, to me, he was dominating it with his mind, with his intelligence. Like he knew he threw it down the field pretty well, but without Metcalf, like he used his running backs a lot, and a lot of yards after the catch. He was just controlling the game, and I think the reason he was able to do it was because Baltimore couldn't get a pass rush. So he was comfortable just sitting back there picking, the defense apart with what he wanted to do.
Yes.
And so I thought he was great. He has been very good this year. And now with Metcalf coming back,
there's not a much bigger difference in pass rushes between Baltimore's and Houston. So that will be a lot of it was.
That's why I
think
was
they'll be
surprised that you're like, ooh, they're frisky.
Well, I've got, as you would say, stat of the month.
Wow. Coming up.
Well, yeah, I mean in this segment.
Okay.
Soon.
Yeah.
Quickly, stat of the 3 of this quarter hour.
Yeah.
Can you put up Rodgers just last night, Dusty, and look at this footnote, Coach? 218 yards after the catch, Bruce. So it was a good amount.
All of his yards that were not after the catch were those 2 throws we just showed, and the Calvin Austin.
So to me, Coach, this is either great play calling because he had to pass the ball to 9 receivers, including Gainwell.
Gainwell's awesome.
But so was this a brilliant offensive game plan without DK Metcalf, or was it just sort of a almost failure of the Ravens defense?
No, I think it was, to Bruce's point about the pass rush, part of the reason they couldn't get the pass rush is because they did take a lot of quick throws. So they weren't going to allow the Ravens the opportunity to run exotic blitzes, to bring a lot of different looks, and they were going to push the ball out to the perimeter. They were going to use wide receiver screens, tight end screens, a lot of those things, quick passes to take away any advantage that they could gain from bringing pressure. So I don't think it was a a failure by the Ravens. I think it was more about Aaron recognizing where pressure was going to come, when it was going to come, and then saying, okay, we're not going to give you the opportunity to do that. We're going to throw it out here and then take our chances. You know, maybe a 3-yard run becomes a 10-yard run.
Ravens missed a lot of tackles.
Yeah, and it worked, and they were willing to stay with it, which sometimes isn't always the case either.
And Gainwell's awesome.
Yeah,
Gainwell's he won their team MVP award. I found that out during the broadcast. I didn't know it. He deserved it. I mean, he's awesome.
Steelers set up a home game against the Texans. Pittsburgh trying to break their playoff cold spell, 0-6 in their last 6 playoff tries. Here's Aaron Rodgers.
The belief level in the locker room after a win like this is exponentially greater, which is what you want to have going into next week. And then obviously we had DK back.
Okay, are you starting to think Aaron and the Steelers can make a little run here, bro?
I think they're going to lose to Houston. Like right now, I'm feeling like I'm going to pick Houston because of the pass rush. Now, maybe he can get rid of the ball so quickly that they nullify it. But with Danielle Hunter, 3rd in the league in sacks with 15, Will Anderson Jr. in the top 10 with 12, I just think whether they get to him or not, it's going to be pressure. And he's not going to be as comfortable in the pocket as he was yesterday. So I think that's going to cause problems. And if C.J. Stroud can generate any offense, then I think Houston will win. If they somehow beat Houston, then I just look at the field and I do like Jacksonville a lot. But I look at the quarterbacks are all, if it's other than Josh Allen, everybody's inexperienced. And that's where Rodgers will have an advantage. So if they beat Houston, look, I don't think they'll get to the Super Bowl. I will pick them not to get to the Super Bowl. But if they beat Houston and it's Bo Nix and other young Drake May young quarterbacks, then I think you have to at least give them a shot.
Yeah, I'm not as optimistic. This is a flawed team who beat a flawed team. And the reason they were in this situation is because they blew it against the Browns the week before. So it's not like they're going into the playoffs red hot.
They won 4 out of 5. They had one. They're not red hot.
And they lost one game that
was really bad.
Really bad. At a moment where they couldn't. And I understand DK wasn't there for that, and he wasn't there for this, but they're also a 40-yard field goal away from us having a completely, radically different conversation as to should Mike Tomlin be there, will Aaron Rodgers come back. So there was an element of extreme luck against a team that was very flawed, and this team has been very flawed. So it's a nice story. Maybe they'll be able to capture some playoff magic, but I'm not as optimistic as Nick is.
Well, listen, I have been as pessimistic about Rodgers in general as anyone on the show, basically since we've been on in the afternoons. I did not believe in the Steelers going into this year. I got 3 reasons, though, that I believe in them this coming weekend, potentially. And if it's this weekend, and as Bruce said, then it's against Bo Nix. I've been betting against Bo Nix all year. Why stop now? Reason 1 is this. I think Houston has looked a little creaky as of late and hasn't been quite as dominant. And this weekend, I don't know how many people were watching Texans-Colts, and again, they took CJ out at halftime, but it was a game they didn't want to lose because of what it would mean for them in the playoff seeding. So that's one data point. Data point 2, I think Aaron Rodgers will be willing to get hit in the playoffs.
That's interesting.
I think one of the reasons, and I don't blame him for this, that he was like, I want to be healthy for the playoffs. And so I think, again, I don't think he's going to be like old Big Ben standing in there having guys fall off him, but I don't think it will be quite as quick of a trigger.
Big hit
on 3rd down late in this game, he took one of the biggest hits, and he knew he was going to get hit. So I think that it. And then stat of the month.
Here we
and
go.
I can't. And this is, Coach, I thought you'd be all over this because this has upset alert written all over it for you. Who's the greatest coach in NFL history, Wilds? Give me a name.
Bill Belichick.
Okay, if it's not Bill Belichick, who is it? Give me another name. Who it could be. If it's not Belichick. Vince Lombardi, some would say.
Knowing you,
Andy Reid, some would say, whatever. It's all wrong. The answer is Mike Tomlin on Monday nights wins this game, America. Monday night. 22-3, never lost at home. Been coaching there 20 years. Wins this game. Is it on Monday? Josh, check for me. Have they said it? Tomlin on a Monday? I like it. I like it.
That's stat of the month.
I'm sorry. Never lost at home on Monday night? Never lost?
That's not bad.
The stat I saw was 1-5 this season against playoff teams. The only playoff team they beat was New England.
New England.
And we had 5 turnovers and a chance.
stat of the
And
month.
every
January
other
5th,
playoff
probably
team they
have
lost
it.
to.
Stat of the
It
month.
is right now.
Stat of the month. Mike
And
Tomlin.
0-6 in his last 6 playoff games. How about
Outside of that, it is on Monday.
Guess what? None of those games were on Monday. That's right. So you guys, last time you guys did this was, you guys remember, Trevor on Saturdays. Going into that playoff game against the Chargers, and you guys were
He
all
looked
mocking
great in the
me.
first half.
He was unbelievable, and then it was second half, bro.
A new sack record and a new coach. Wow. In Cleveland. Could it be Coach Prime? Next on First Things First on FS1.
Nearly home. Isn't home where we all want to be? Reba here for Realtor.com, the pros' #1 most trusted app. Finding a home is like dating. You're not just looking for a place to live, you're searching for the one. That's where Realtor.com comes in. Like any good matchmaker, they know exactly where to look. With over 500,000 new real listings straight from the pros every month, you could find your perfect match today. Ranch style with a pool, barn dominium with an in-law suite? Realtor.com's got them. Modern craftsman with a big yard and a treehouse out back? Realtor.com will have you saying, yep, that's the one. No more swiping. It's time to start finding. Download the Realtor.com app today, cause you're nearly home. Make it real with Realtor.com.
Pros #1 most trusted app based on August 2024 proprietary survey. Over 500,000 new listings every month based on average new for sale and rental listings. February 2024 through January 2025.
4 coaches gone today. Pete Carroll leaving Las Vegas. Raheem Morris out in
surprised
Atlanta.
about Raheem.
Yeah.
They ended with 4 straight wins.
Jonathan Gannon snake bitten in Arizona, and Kevin Stefanski gone in Cleveland after the win got him to 5-12. So the question is, Brew, what does this mean for Shedeur Sanders? Some reports coming out that the Browns think he's their quarterback next year.
Well, look, I feel like, and this is speculation, that what dooms Stefanski, who I think is a good coach, he's a 2-time coach of the year, 2 of the 3 times, Coach, they've made the playoffs in this century, he made it twice. So, but I think his handling of Shedeur is what doomed him, because I feel like, and look, I wasn't at practices, none of us were, you were hearing reports, but he probably should have had Shedeur be the backup from the get-go. And once he was done with Flacco, go to Shedeur, and you would have had all season or 11, 12 games, whatever, to see what he could do. He showed us just enough in his 6 games or whatever it was, where I do think Shedeur earned a chance to start. Like next year, go into training camp with, we'll see, but he's got a legit chance to start. He wasn't great. He had moments. He showed you some potential. But as far as the new coach, and I think we're all going to talk about this, Deion Sanders' name out there, I would not, as great a coach as I think Deion is, I would not go that route, because if you hire Deion, you're committing to Shedeur. And he has not shown me enough to know, oh, he's my franchise guy for the next 5 to 10 years. Like, maybe he could show a little, we'll see. But if you hire his dad, he's your guy, and he might not be good enough to be your guy. And I also don't know, Coach, how that works in the locker room when the head coach is the players.
Well, nobody does, because it's never happened.
Right. So
really.
that could be strange. Yeah. But I would not go that route for that reason. I'm not ready to just give the franchise to Shedeur.
I mean, with Stefanski, I could see why they got rid of him. I mean, he's a 2-time coach of the year in the last, 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years.
In a division that has 2 potential Hall of Fame coaches, in a division that has 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, in a division that he's consistently been able to find a way to beat Pittsburgh. And I'm sure it was his decision to bring Deshaun Watson, and he was the GM, right, and the owner. And it was his decision. Didn't they draft another quarterback in the 3rd round? So was that his decision? Is he the only one that made that decision to draft that quarterback? So you can kill him for the way things played out from a quarterback perspective, but the GM gets to stay, and there's been a lot of that. This was a very good draft class, so I understand the strength of that draft class, but are we forgetting about Deshaun Watson? Like, does that come into play? Was that a huge detriment to Stefanski's ability to be successful? What about Baker Mayfield? Was he the reason Baker Mayfield left, or was that a GM type decision and an ownership type decision? So it's maybe they're going to be able to go get someone better, and maybe it's Jim Schwartz, maybe it's someone in-house. Obviously, they played great on defense. He's got head coaching experience. They could have continuity on that side of the ball and then retain the offensive coordinator if they wanted to, because I guess he's got a relationship with Shedeur. A lot of Shedeur's potential next season comes back to how strongly ownership feels about him. So if he feels like that's the guy, then anybody they bring in as the head coach will probably come in with the understanding that Shedeur's got to get the first reps, which means they're probably going to either trade that second overall pick or they're going to draft another player.
No, they have the 5th overall pick.
Oh, it's the 5th overall. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
Okay,
which
yeah,
is
right,
which complicates things.
Right, which makes it a little bit
trickier. And so Jonathan Jones from CBS reported today that they expect Shedeur to enter camp as the team's starting quarterback. It's very interesting because, listen, I really like Jonathan Jones, and I think he's a great reporter. But there's only a handful of people that could tell him that because the head coach isn't there anymore, and there isn't a head coach in place right now, which means whomever hires the head coach, the owner / GM, I would imagine, has told a reporter before they even start interviewing who the incumbent quarterback's going to be next year, which speaks to Coach's point about Shedeur's incumbency, so to speak. I think there are 2 people on the Cleveland Browns that this season went well for. Myles Garrett, who we're going to talk about in a minute, and Shedeur. And this season went well for Shedeur despite how poorly Shedeur played. Because Shedeur's numbers are what his numbers are. And the sample size is half a season. Among quarterbacks with as many starts as Shedeur, he was 35th in completion percentage, 29th in yards per game, 24th in yards per pass, which is not bad. Dead last in touchdown to turnover ratio, second to last in passer rating, and 31st in sacks per game. Even by judge a rookie on a curve standards, those are not good numbers.
Well, it's Stefanski's fault.
But because they won just enough games to not have a
3, right? He won 3.
His record was that's right.
He was on the field for 3 of them.
Well, yeah. But because they fell outside of the top 3 of the draft, and picks 1, 2, and 3 are 3 quarterback-needy teams, and it seems like it is a 2-quarterback draft, we think, right now. And because Stefanski is now out, and I think it's fair to say Stefanski didn't appear to be a huge Shedeur guy, I think this worked out perfectly for Shedeur, where the Browns are going to have very little optionality. Like, what are we going to do? Are we going to overdraft a quarterback as the 3rd or 4th quarterback taken with the 5th pick of the draft? Probably not. Are we going to spin the free agent quarterback wheel, which is, it seems like Malik Willis and who? Like Daniel Jones is a free agent. He tore his Achilles. Mac Jones is not a free agent. So I am still a seller on the idea that Shedeur Sanders is going to be a long-term, even average, much less above average starter in this league. But he's going to get a shot now. I think that with Stefanski gone, with where they fell in the draft, he is going to get that offseason that he talked about after his first start. Imagine me with a full offseason. I think we're going to get to see it.
Is there a coaching change happening in Baltimore? That's next on First Things First. The foam neck brace is what really sucks.
Well, I needed it. My neck is sore.
Live from New York. It's a show that's having a rough day for you, too. Pete Carroll fired from your Raiders.
It was a bad pick.
Ashton Genty.
All right, is it finally the 20?
I almost texted Nick last night after Ashton Genty's end of the season stats. But I didn't. What was it, 3.7?
I just feel like we're beating up on Brew the whole day.
The Buccaneers.
The Buccaneers one I deserve. I'm saying I deserve to be pilloried for today. The Raiders have been dead for months. It was a bad pick by me.
I just like to spread the wealth around. That's all.
Yeah, I've been taking some games.
Second hour of First Things First. Today, Ravens trading in their chips and soda pop for fresh ceviche and pina coladas. That means they're on vacation.
Yeah.
What's next for Baltimore? Meanwhile, Brock Purdy was 3 wins away from the Super Bowl. Instead, scored 3 points. Is Bruce stressed out about his guy? Wait till you see what Nick texted me. Put a little Mac Jones emoji. I said, how'd you make that? But right now, a season of angst comes to an end for Brew and the Ravens. Lamar had 3 touchdowns and did look more Lamar-like late in the game. Here he is answering questions about his future with the team.
But we just lost a game, a divisional game, a game to put us in the playoffs. I'm not even thinking about that right now, to be honest with you. I'm still caught up in what just happened, That's not my focus right now.
What does this loss mean for Lamar's future?
I mean, again, he could have easily said, oh, yeah, I'm going to be back,
Yeah.
But look, I fully expect Lamar Jackson back. The only thing I think is going to change is the head coach. I think, especially with the way he handled that question we showed earlier. So I think he'll have a new head coach, which as much as I think they should move on from John Harbaugh, I have said on this show, and I believe fully, he has done a great deal for Lamar's career. Like when a lot of people in the league did not believe in him, we saw Lamar early. I'm talking about preseason games, but early as a rookie didn't look like he could handle the NFL quarterbacking. And Harbaugh helped develop him, and he's become obviously a future Hall of Famer. So I do give Harbaugh some credit for that. But that's the only reason I would keep Harbaugh is if Lamar was adamant about it and this is the guy I want here. And obviously that doesn't seem to be the case. So I just think for Lamar, I don't think there's any chance he's leaving the Ravens. I do think it seems like he's going to be wanting to talk about a new contract. But again, he just had a great game that lends credence to the notion that he was just hurt. In those 5 games where he didn't play well, but he'll be the regular Lamar next season. And so I just think he'll have a new coach most likely, and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I don't think that's a fair time to ask Lamar that question, and I really sincerely believe that he's not thinking about that. He wasn't thinking about his future. He wasn't thinking about Harbaugh's future. That's a terrible emotional loss, and you're asking the guy at the press conference afterwards, about something that's down the road. I can't imagine they would think about moving on from him. 2-time MVP, all the success he's had, and granted, it's been bumpy this season, but they're not even in a position where they can move on from him easily. They have a no trade clause. Right. There's dead money that'll hit this year and next year that's substantial. They do need to address his contract because it's $74 million. Which would be 25% of the cap, where his cap number is 15% this year, so he can't really do anything with that.
No, keep going.
And then in terms of Harbaugh.
Well, can we wait on the Harbaugh piece
just
for a second? I want to stay on Lamar for a second. First of all, Wild's spot bonus.
For what? Edgar Allan.
Edgar Allan Woes is, I don't know who did it.
Pretty good.
But that's, and I noticed it, so you have to pay it. So $50.
I pay $5.
Okay. Whichever our producers came up with that, they get it. Do you agree with what Bruce said, that Lamar is coming off a great game?
I thought it was an okay game. I didn't think it was great. He had 9 yards rushing. He was sacked 3 times for minus 16, so he had 25 actual running yards. But
so that's what the sack yards don't count against his rushing yards, that's college stats. They don't count. His sack yards don't count against his rushing.
Team rushing.
So they count it. So when he had 9 yards rushing, that's really he really only had 9 yards rushing. So because that's kind of what because I think how he looked this season and this game has to inform what we think about his future. So I thought Lamar had an unbelievable fourth quarter. Damn near heroic. Yeah. You know what I mean? Almost saved the Ravens season. I also think for the first 3 quarters of this game, it looked a lot like I'm used to seeing Lamar look in spots like this. Weird, indecisive, and a little shaky. And I thought that, I know, Wilds, you basically said, I don't want to misquote you, you did not blame him seemingly at all for the interception. I think the interception was one of many bad passes he threw early in this game.
I grade interceptions as Goff's interception, for example. What are you doing?
And I think Lamar's deep balls, too, were a little function of Pittsburgh's defense. I mean, guys are running free.
One of them was
So the one time guy's running free, but the 4th down one early was, yes, there was Jalen Ramsey bit on something, but it was still, he had to see it, he had to throw it, it was perfect. And the two other plays he made in the fourth quarter, the one where he avoided the sack and threw the touchdown to Hollywood, was a 10 out of 10 play by, 15 out of 10 play by Lamar. And the fourth down throw to Likely was as good of a throw and a catch as you're going to see. Yeah.
But did you think, I don't think he was bad early. I just think he was the interception was bad, but they didn't throw a lot. They threw, but the game plan, he threw 6 passes in the first half. That's not on him. That's on the game plan, which I wasn't that mad. I would like to see him throw a little bit more, but they were just trying to run Derrick Henry.
So, Dust, I don't know if we can show his stats, quarters 1 through 3 versus the fourth quarter. I did think he was bad the first 3 quarters. And one of the reasons.
Third quarter, because he was 4 for 6 in the first half.
Right, but.
So he was 1 for 4 in the third quarter.
And to Coach's point, one of the reasons that, you don't have more pass attempts is you don't get more first downs, you don't have more drives, that the sacks that he took, or the inability, I'm not even going to call it refusal, what right now seems like an inability to trust that he can break off a run. Yeah. It ended up being a great decision, but on the deep pass after he avoided the sack to Hollywood Brown, Tirico says, me and Chris are hitting each other saying, Lamar, run, because it was like 3rd and 5, and it looked like he could. He threw the pass instead. So I view Lamar as, at this point, and I don't mean to sound, he's a human being, but in calculating terms, a depreciating asset. I think
at 28 years old.
He's 29 in 2 days. And
at 29.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
He should have several years left in his prime.
But that's the thing that we always talk about with great running quarterbacks. There's a lot of young ones, but there aren't a lot of great old ones, because over time they slow down. Their ability to do that decreases substantially. So what was this huge asset, to Nick's point, now becomes an asset that declines pretty dramatically.
Were you going to ask me, do I feel the same way about Mahomes? Well, is that what you're going to say?
A little bit, because I'm viewing from 10,000 feet, if someone who didn't know football, and said, what happened to these 3 great teams that I've been reading about on the internet? The Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Ravens. They're like, you know what? Their defense wasn't good or wasn't as good as it usually is, and their quarterbacks either got hurt or dealt with a little bit of injuries, and they didn't have enough to get through the finish line.
So in Lamar's, and it's been a trend over the last few years, his pivot from a guy who his ability to run is his fastball to his curveball, but it is a devastating curveball, to it is like a rarely used eephus pitch, I think drastically changes how dangerous he is. I think the fact that this year he suffered 5 different injuries that you're attributing the decline in play to is a major concern. I think then when you add to it that he is, we would think, maybe going to be dealing with a new head coach and looking for a new top-of-the-market contract after what it can only be called a failure of a year for the organization and for the player. That, to me, Brew, is all very complicated stuff. That's why I think Lamar's future is an interesting discussion.
A few years ago, Joe Burrow played 10 games and looked bad. They looked just as good with Jake Browning. He obviously came back. We weren't holding that against him. Mahomes has not looked like Mahomes in 3 years, but and I get it, his history is a resume much better than Lamar's, but still, I just think, and I think yesterday Lamar looked like Lamar. I get it. If he can't run like he used to or even close, that does hinder him, but he has become a great passer. I mean, what he did yesterday, all those highlights were passes. He can throw the football.
Most of those highlights were passes that weren't on time. They weren't just the way they were designed. They were him running around and extending plays and making plays down the field. They're not your traditional passing game. I think the other thing that happens with great running quarterbacks when they get paid, if you're making $75 million, your willingness to run with the ball declines dramatically because you don't want to get hurt. The
So
amount
you
of
think
money,
if he got another big contract, he wouldn't run as much?
I'm just saying, when you're making that kind of money, unless it's guaranteed, you're not going to take the same risks that you would take when you were searching for that money initially, because there's too much that you could lose.
He hadn't played in a game and a half, so I don't think we were looking at 100% Lamar last night. He started the season at 70 yards against the Bills. It's not like he aged that much, and he's not like going under the knife this offseason.
Think about it.
He just got a hamstring, and then that kind of compounded.
You're basing his demise, if I may call it that, on a 5-game stretch. And he was bad, but early in the year he looked great, and yesterday he was very good.
Let me just respond to that real quick. It's not just the 5-game stretch. I have definitely been the most skeptical of Lamar Jackson's overall. He's obviously a first ballot Hall of Famer, the resume of that, but overall ability to perform in the biggest spots and make it to the look in January the way he looks every September of everyone on the show. I certainly was the most skeptical. We now have a year of just, from any angle you look at it, it's a disaster year. When it was supposed to be, I think, not supposed to be, it was the year the Ravens came into the season for the first time as the standalone Super Bowl favorites. We're about to have a discussion about whether or not they're firing the head coach. And all offseason, we're going to have a discussion of Lamar Jackson, $65 million a year, fully guaranteed for 3 or 4 years, added on to the deal he has. Is that a good idea? And I am just saying, with the thing we talked about Friday, every other quarterback who has as many rushing yards as Lamar had a short prime, and their best years were either in their 20s or the very beginning of their 30s. That it, to me, is not the no-brainer that I think we would have thought going into this season, extending Lamar, whatever it takes, top of the market, Lamar Jackson. I think it's complicated. And I think treating this year like, even if we attribute all of it to injury, then you then say, okay, so 3 of the last 5 years were derailed because of Lamar injuries. 3 of the 5 years of his prime derailed by injury. That's the same number of Joe Burrow years derailed by injury.
But he hadn't been banged up as much as Burrow. He has not missed as many games as Burrow.
No, he hasn't missed as many games, but it's in the last 5 years, the Bengals have made the playoffs twice, and 3 years, Joe Burrow got hurt. 1 year, actually, he didn't get hurt. Their defense was terrible. The last 5 years, the Baltimore Ravens have made the playoffs twice, and 3 years, we're saying it's because of Lamar injury. That's wrong. They made the playoffs 1 year when he was hurt. He's played in the playoffs twice. It, to me, is a legitimate discussion and a very interesting one for what the new if there is going to be a new head coach, what he thinks.
What he thinks about Lamar's future?
About all of it. I think about all of it. I don't think
it's... let's look in that division. Cleveland's been looking for a franchise quarterback forever. Pittsburgh, since Roethlisberger left, they've been looking for... it is not easy to get a franchise guy.
I don't think they're going to move on from it. It's just as he becomes less of a threat as a runner, the coverage has changed because you don't have to put as many people in the box. You don't have to count for him. And most of his wow plays are made as off schedule. They're not traditional pocket passer plays. So as he becomes less effective in that area, has he improved enough in the pocket to still be an MVP type player and merit that type of contract?
And to be clear, if I had the option of just running it back with Lamar, changing nothing other than the contracts, converting some salary to bonus so the cap hit's not as good, but he's got these 2 years left, and maybe making coaching changes we're going to talk about, that's what I would do. I don't think the Ravens are going to have that option. I want to make that very clear. I do not think Lamar Jackson is going to play next year under the contract he has right now.
And I wonder if part of this year was a function of that.
Yeah. Well, I do too.
On the coaching front, John Harbaugh misses the playoffs for just the second time in the last 8 years. He was asked by a reporter if he wanted to run it back, and here's what he said.
Are you feeling like you want another shot with these guys?
Yeah, I love these guys. I love these guys.
Harbaugh with the Ravens, 18 seasons, wins 61% of his games, 12 playoff appearances, only 3 losing seasons.
Well, Mike
and obviously
Tomlin
won the Super Bowl in 2012. Do you think it would be a mistake, Coach, if the Ravens moved on?
Yeah, we're having this discussion because the field goal kicker missed a very makeable field goal that should have won the game. And if he makes that field goal, we're not even remotely having this.
Not today.
Hold on, but we are having this. Another way to phrase that, Coach, is the reason we're having it today and not last Monday was because the Steelers choked against the Browns. The Ravens were in a position where they needed someone else to lose. So it wasn't.
It's been a disappointing season, underachievement.
It has been a disappointing season. So we just talked about Lamar. Has he had a disappointing, underachieving season? That's a big part of why this has been a disappointing, underachieving season. But they still were a missed field goal away from winning the division and being in the playoffs. And you could look at it and say, okay, has he forgotten how to coach? He has won a Super Bowl. And he did. They drafted Lamar when most teams passed on him. He made that transition extremely successful. And you can go get somebody different, but one of the great things about having consistency in an organization is there's efficiency. And when you transition out of a head coach, especially someone who's been there a long time, so much has to change. The coaching staff, the way the scouts look at things, the way you look at free agency, every part of the organization, there's this dramatic makeover. And are they that far away from the talent that they have now that they can't be in the mix? Let's say Lamar has a good season next year, or at significantly better than this year. Aren't they right back in the mix for the Super Bowl again? But now you go get a new head coach. Maybe it's a rookie head coach. He makes a bunch of mistakes. I mean, it's easy to fire guys, but as we see every year, it's hard to find the next guy.
I do agree it's a risk. Just because you know Harbaugh's a good coach, I can't even say there's a floor, because I would have never thought the floor was missing the playoffs coming into this year. But I just think, Coach, 18 years, I said it before, Andy Reid, who's a great coach, was fired. Belichick, the Patriots moved on from him. I just think he's been there that long. And I'm wondering what is going to change next year. If they bring back John Harbaugh, what changes? Lamar, we assume he'll play better. But he played great the previous 2 years or 3 years, and they got nothing. Their seasons keep ending in disappointing ways and underachievement, I would say. And we can point to some of the coaching issues, like against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game at home. I get it's not all on Harbaugh, but they're beset by a ton of penalties. They have unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. Zay Flowers is taunting. They forget to run the ball in the second half. I think that stuff is coaching. It's the discipline of the organization. Last year, I can't blame them for the Bills' loss. But this year, just the way things have gone, I just think it's just time for a new voice. I get it. It is risky.
I mean, but imagine if Philly had kept Andy Reid, and let's say Andy was the reason they drafted Patrick Mahomes. Say Philly has Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Are they now the greatest? Are they I'm saying, are they now the best organization? The greatest franchise in the modern era? Do they match New England's amount of Super Bowls?
The Philly argument, oddly, works in the other direction as well. They moved on from Andy Reid, have fired a bunch of coaches since then, and 2 of them have won Super Bowls, even though both of them might kind of be dopes.
Right, one less Super Bowl than Andy had. Right?
No, well, correct. You're saying if they had Mahomes.
He won none in Philly.
I feel like in this discussion, we're glossing over the most important piece of it. There was a hit piece written about Lamar Jackson that came from the Ravens organization that we spent a week talking about. I think a lot when they're talking about falling asleep in meetings, practice times, taking care of his body, the whole thing in the Baltimore Sun. We talked about it on here that appeared to be a shot across the bow from someone within the organization at Lamar. I've got ideas on who that someone might be. It was someone trying, I would think, to, if the thing goes down, try to keep their job. Lamar Jackson is not a dumb human being. He saw that article. He probably has a lot of the same feelings that I have about where that article came from. The idea, Lamar Jackson was asked about John Harbaugh being his head coach next year at the end of his end-of-season press conference. He's like, I can't talk about that right now. I don't think it is tenable for Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh to be the coach and the quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens next season. So maybe they don't move on from John Harbaugh. But that then means the only way to, I think, fix that relationship is the way I guess you fix a bunch of relationships with money, like a ton of money.
Does that fix a lot of relationships?
I think in sports and sometimes in life, too.
Are you saying the things that came up in that article you categorically think are false?
No, I think they're almost all true. But I think that they still had to come from somebody. Like the writer is not hanging out at Lamar's house. The writer is not in
Lamar
meetings.
said the sleeping in meetings things, he laughed at it.
Yeah.
And in terms of John desperately trying to keep his job for the money, I think he's probably got enough money. Do we think he's going to be unemployed for very long, or is he going to get one of these, his choice of the 6 jobs?
No, but the Ravens is a good job. The Ravens is a better job than these jobs open.
Coach.
With bad ownership, and like the Ravens have good ownership, they're good. It's a really good job. I think Tomlin would instantly get a job. The Steelers is great. You still want to keep the job that you have. Like
if an article was written about your quarterback when you were coaching, and you knew it was false, or you didn't feel that way about you, because they said in the article that Harbaugh's tired of him, sick of him.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh just addressed it when he was asked, and it was he shot it down, but it wasn't.
He said, "I love Lamar."
Yeah, I'm asking, would you come out on your own and say, look, there was an article written about our quarterback sleeping in meetings, that I'm tired of him, I don't like him. None of that is true. I love Lamar. Would you come out? I'm just asking, how would you handle it? Would you do it like, because I thought Harbaugh's, it wasn't full-throated, like, this is ridiculous, a full-throated support of Lamar.
Yeah, I don't know what you wanted him to. You just wanted him to be more passionate about it. I thought he was pretty straightforward about how he felt about Lamar. You just didn't feel like it had enough emotion behind it.
I'm just wondering if you would come out on your own to shoot it. Like if somebody said, I don't like Kevin Wiles, they wrote that. I would say, come out and say, that's ridiculous. This is, you know what I mean? Not true.
Myles Garrett breaks the record. That's next on First Things First on FS1. Myles Garrett breaks the sack record. Tackles a turtling Joe Burrow for sack number 23. Also got a deal with Jordan Brand. Do you see that?
Yeah. He plays a lot of basketball.
Yeah.
That's true. Against the orthodontists.
Yeah, right.
Browns win to finish the year 5-12. Brew, we'll start with you. How will you remember Myles Garrett's record-breaking season?
It was a phenomenal season. Most of it, he had a 4-game stretch with 13 sacks, and that's when he did most of his damage. But just a great year. I think I have a graphic. I know you want to have one that's similar, I'm told, Nick. But where his number of pass plays that he faced.
Yeah. This is impressive.
This is mine.
Yeah, I think they didn't use mine. Sorry, but they didn't make mine because of yours. But you see that?
So that's everyone with at least 21 sacks in a year.
And so
it also puts to bed the 17, 16.
Right, 17 games. Hey, look, he's playing for a bad team. Teams get up on him, and then they run the football. And so he didn't have as many opportunities as Strahan and T.J. Watt, who held the record. So that just makes it even more impressive.
Well, yeah, I mean, to me, Coach, and leave that up just for a second, because the top 3 are all interesting. So Justin Houston, he entered Week 17 that year with 18 sacks. And then in Week 17, gotta have it, win in your end game, had 4 sacks to get to 22. But the reason nobody even thinks of that is because it wasn't like on record watch, you know what I mean, throughout the year. Right. Reggie White's year is special because he played 12 games. He had 21 sacks in 12 games, and I've always thought that Reggie White season was the single best pure pass rushing season of my life. I can't speak to Deacon Jones. I don't know. This, to me, Coach is neck and neck with it. Like, as far as a single season pass rushing excellence, this, to me, is right alongside what Reggie White did in 12 games as the most dominant year I've seen. And that's why I thought the pass attempts is noteworthy, because that's how many chances you're going to have. And they obviously didn't.
White had more than just 12.
Reggie White faced 511 pass attempts in 12 games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Yeah, I was really impressed by it, and I was impressed by it because of the record, and I understand it is the extra game. And I do think the extra game does come into play to some degree in this discussion, but really the fact that they had the record that they had, and then typically they were he was chasing pass plays as opposed to having a competitive four-quarter game where you would traditionally see someone like this have a record like he was able to achieve. I thought he was amazing throughout the course of the season, and I understand there was some cynicism because he said he wanted to go to a winner, and then he ended up signing back with the Browns.
Solid point.
I respect the fact that he was chasing the record even though the season wasn't bad, because success was out of reach in terms of reaching the playoffs. So I don't mind him trying to achieve what he achieved in a really unfortunate year.
I'm fine with it, but some people aren't.
I'll be glass half full. I do wish that the record corresponded and translated more to just straight up wins. And he sacked Caleb, I think, multiple times, and the Bears put up 31 points. He sacked Drake 5 times in that game, and we just easily handled the Browns. That being said, I'm trying to be glass half full. The Giants, when Strahan set the record, the Giants were 7-9. They went 10-6 the next year and made the playoffs. When T.J. Watt tied Strahan's record, they went 9-7. So hopefully, this is a sign that he can be on a winning team. I like Myles Garrett. I just don't like legendary players playing in meaningless games. And having like a little 2-game win streak, I wish this sack was on a meaningful play where the Bengals were trying to drive, and we'll talk about it in a second. But I'll remember it as kind of like, I wish they won more.
But don't you think part of being legendary is the ability to play at a high level, even in meaningless games? Because there's some people who'd be like, hey, I don't want to get hurt.
I agree. I just wish, like, I want him to be Chris Jones comes up with a huge play in a great playoff game. Aaron Donald comes up with a sack and, like, clinches the Super Bowl. That's what I want. And I was just like, oh, we did it. We got to 5 wins.
Well, then they should, right. So let me just push back on that a tiny bit. A lot of our legendary single-season records in sports were not great teams. Megatron's record, that team was not that good. I'm not sure. I should have looked it up. Eric Dickerson's record that still stands.
Usain Bolt.
And so a lot of those numbers are a lot of the records Drew Brees still holds. We're on 9-7 teams. I think it is very rare to cross sports. Like Kobe's 81-point game and 35-point per game season was on a 7-seed Laker team. Like a lot of our best individual performances come amidst when they're surrounded by mediocrity. It's there's a reason Chris Jones does not, has never come close to winning a Defensive Player of the Year and doesn't have a bunch of, double-digit sack seasons. Like that doesn't always go hand in hand with, individual dominance like that. So I don't think that's specific to Myles would be the defense. Also, that Reggie White number, that might be the number of pass attempts the Eagles faced all year, even in the games he missed. So it might be even more impressive.
That's a lot.
I know. As soon as you said it, I was doing it. I gave
40-something passes per game.
Yeah, but I
airing it out.
Back in the day.
On the flip side, Zach Taylor and Jamar Chase were not happy that the game action was stopped to celebrate Myles Stone. Ooh, spot bonus for me.
Oh,
no.
Nice.
Yeah, Ian, back on me. You owe me $5. Take a listen.
Sack it to him.
Oh, my.
There's 5 minutes left in our season. We're playing for our lives here. And I was never told that we're going to stop the game. And they said they tried to do it as quickly as possible. I didn't feel that. We didn't sub. We're trying to be on the ball and go and play with tempo. And the umpire just held the ball so that we couldn't do anything.
I never knew you could let the whole team get on your field. That's like That's like me catching my 10th pass and the whole team running on the field. We're gonna get flagged. You can't do that. They better stop the game when I do something in my back end. That's all I got to say about that one.
I love it. Go ahead.
Look, I will say that I'll salute Zach Taylor and the Bengals for this was a meaningless game for them, but they took it seriously. I will give them that credit. And I also, Coach, I do kind of understand Zach Taylor being like, the officials should have let him know, look, if he breaks the record, we're stopping the game. That said, I mean, come on, celebrate the guy. I get it that the Bengals aren't going to celebrate him, but understand this is a huge record. It's existed for a quarter of a century, so don't get bent out of shape when they celebrate it.
Yeah, fighting for your life, that's a little dramatic for that game. And I promise you, if Jamar Chase breaks a record, he's going to want everybody, he's going to want it stopped and sign the ball. Like, this was a really incredible moment, and to stop the game at that point, I think that's totally appropriate.
I thought this was an indictment on Zach Taylor, that he didn't realize that the moment justified stopping the game. Where Emmitt Smith was over there like changing cleats and jerseys, they're going to stop the game. Drew Brees, they stopped the game for.
Yeah,
TJ Watt tied it, they did not stop the game.
Tell them?
Well, you should
I
ask.
agree with you, but the
half
refs
the
should
stadium was Browns fans
there for that. He said they met with him for 90 minutes before the game, or I don't know how long.
That's got to come up.
But that the refs should tell. The refs should say, look.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The refs should tell them. I also think that the records you're talking about are career records. I watched the video of when Megatron beat Jerry Rice's single season record. The game stops. He goes over. I don't know if it's his dad. He gets the ball to some older gentleman who walks on the field. I should have looked up if it was his dad or not. But whoever, the game stops. There are not a lot of, and Jamar Chase being like, they better stop the game for me. And he took a little shot at Myles. I don't know when he said on the back end, like this was a career achievement thing. It wasn't. This was a single season thing. And by the way, there aren't a lot of these records out there. Because any single season touchdown record, the game stops because you score a touchdown.
Yeah.
And when Peyton broke the record for single season passing yards, he actually did it on a touchdown, so the game had to stop anyway. I couldn't find the tape of when Dickerson did it, but that's all there's passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, and sacks. That's all your records. There's not a lot of them. This isn't going to be like, we're going to have record creep where all of a sudden the game's going to be stopping all the time.
I don't think anybody was shocked by it. Like, were you shocked that they stopped the game?
Of course they stopped the game. I would have been shocked if they didn't.
Yeah, I would have been shocked if they didn't too.
It needs to.
They're just lying.
What if Jamar wanted 12 men on the field when they started something?
I mean, I thought it was.
Take your helmet off.
That's rivals. Don't you think
no,
that's
but
it was
I
the
thought
state
it
was lack of
champion.
situational
It was the state championship.
awareness.
I think and I think this is the reason you like the story. I think that was a sign of a bigger problem with the Bengals.
Correct.
Well, go ahead.
Well, that's why this is just it's my Rolling Stones M&M's theory. That it's too long of a story.
It's not a long story.
It's a long story.
Tell the audience.
Gosh,
it's great.
It's a long story.
It's great.
You've
never heard the story?
No.
It's partly apocryphal. Rolling Stones were traveling around the world, right? So they would have in their rider, hey, no blue M&Ms. So they wouldn't have to go in there and check every light and every sound check. They would just look and see if there's blue M&Ms. And if they see that there's a blue M&M in there, they realize this place is not organizationally sound. Check the microphones. And if they see there's no blue M&Ms, this place is buttoned up. So if you don't realize that half the Browns fans were going to see the record, they're cheering for the Browns. Like, wow, this is the record. Joe Burrow got it out. I had it somewhere. Joe Burrow was getting the ball out like Aaron Rodgers, the fastest game there, because he didn't want to get sacked. The game plan was don't get sacked. So the fact that you were shocked and that this didn't come up, or you didn't ask the refs, it's signs of an organizational issue.
We used to put stuff in game plans. First person to read this gets $20. Make sure everybody was reading. There you go.
Oh, Thanksgiving. Now, I wanted to know there's going to be a turkey out there. You're going to have food on the field? What's going on here? Yeah, there's a turkey on the field, okay? Well, we couldn't pay attention. There was delicious turkey wafting over. Moving on.
KW.
Just come on, Vegas.
Good story.
Joe Burrow needs to get out of there.
You almost weren't going to get there.
You want everybody to leave
Sometimes
everywhere.
take the ball and go score.
It's not my job. My job is to be affable.
I knew you had a great take.
College hoops doubleheader? No way. College hoops tripleheader. Heck yeah. Michigan, Penn State, Texas Tech. Mahomes is going to be up for this one. Versus Houston. And then San Diego State. Kawhi is going to watch that one. Versus Nevada. I don't know if the Clippers have a game tomorrow. But if they don't.
Colin Kaepernick?
Kawhi's average.
Went to Nevada, right?
Yeah, I'm talking Kawhi went to San Diego. Oh,
Yeah, I was just saying
Kaepernick
pros. You
went
said
to Nevada.
Mahomes going to watch Texas Tech. I was trying to figure out someone to watch Nevada.
Elijah Wan's going to watch Houston.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go. Well done. Dude, bro,
Clyde
he played for
Drexler.
their pro team, too.
That's a good point. Sam Darnold and the Seahawks are the number 1 seed after shutting down the high-powered 49ers offense. They'll be resting in the scenic Pacific Northwest, all those trees, while the 49ers are headed to Philadelphia, who also rested. Brew, did this game say more about Sam Darnold, Mr. 14 wins, 4,000 yards, nothing to shake a stick at, or Brock Purdy? He had 3.
Now you want to talk Purdy. The last 2 weeks when he had 5 touchdowns in each game.
We talked about it.
I did. Nick did. You sat there quietly.
He had 3.
You had nothing to say. Now you're all
It's my job
loud.
to read the news. The guy had 3. Sam Darnold.
And look, Trent Williams was out.
Oh.
Ricky Pearsall, who is not great, but he's one of their best receivers, was out. He needs his weapon. That's a great defense. My answer is this. We know Purdy is not, the moment is not too big. He's played in the Super Bowl. He's been good in playoffs. He'll be fine. Darnold, though, wilds. You just brought up in the break Phillip Rivers, 44 years old, off the couch, on the couch for 5 years, comes in. Against this same Niners defense, coach, he threw for 277 yards and 2 touchdowns. Darnold threw for 198 and no touchdowns, and Caleb Williams threw for more than 300 yards, 2 touchdowns against this Niners defense. So look, Seattle's really good.
They're great.
The weak link is Darnold. And I'm not saying he's weak. He's a good quarterback. But he's the weak link, and when you talk about them reaching the Super Bowl, and he couldn't light up this Niners defense, which is weak, that's a problem.
He was the
scary.
issue. Not the guy who had 3 points. Guy won 14 games.
Well,
Purdy was facing a much better defense than Darnold was.
Fair.
yeah, to me, that's what it comes down to is the 2 defenses. So Seattle now is 6 in sacks, 6 in takeaways, top 10 in almost every defensive category, where San Francisco's dead last in sacks. I think they're 15th, at the middle of the pack in takeaways. It's not comparable in terms of the challenges that each side face. So I think you got to grade Purdy with a little bit of a curve here versus Darnold. I thought Darnold was going to light him up a lot more than he lit him up, like most people did, like the guy who came off the couch did. And that was disappointing to me.
Thank goodness.
So, well,
That's your guy. I want to hear your
double-digit
defense
win
of
is
it.
what
No,
I
listen.
I
I think the Seahawks are incredibly dangerous, but that is somewhat despite the concerns about Darnold. So I'll get to those in a second. On Purdy, listen. Purdy he's allowed to have a bad game. He had a bunch of really good games in a row and 2 exceptional games in a row. It is not lost on
He's
me.
had a decent amount of bad games over the last 2 years.
Say it again.
Purdy's had a
I
decent
listen.
amount of
I
bad
know, no,
games
but
over the
he was
last
on
2
a
years.
string of really good games. It's not lost on me that Christian McCaffrey finally has a bad game and the offense can't move the ball. Like that was my takeaway on it. Here is my concern, KW, for your guy Sam Darnold. And is he your guy?
He's got to be somebody. He's got 14 wins.
And listen, and I think
the number 1 seed.
I think the Seahawks can win the Super Bowl.
Yes,
I want to make
they
it clear.
can.
I think they can. I don't think it's like, he's destined to cost them. What is true is, for half the season now, he's been very mediocre.
Yes.
If we cut the season in half, before and after the Rams game, he's cooking, and that's why when he had the bad Rams game, his teammate was like, man, he's the reason we're in this position, with defending him. Since that Rams game, man, 8 touchdowns, 10 turnovers, and 83 rating. It speaks.
Wait, how many turnovers do you have in the
4.
But that's in the after column.
No.
Where's the line of
The before is everything leading up to the Rams game. The after is the Rams game moving forward.
So we had 4 in that game.
So, all right, that's fine.
Should we take those 4 out?
But just like Jalen's.
No, that's
it was
fine.
weak.
But
Turnovers
KW,
come in bunches.
But KW, then it's 8 touchdowns in 8 games with 6 turnovers. Even if we take that game out.
But last year, the final game of the season, that was Detroit, right?
Yes.
And that wasn't very good.
No.
Yeah,
this was better.
He's the number
But
1 seed,
That's
guys.
what I'm saying is the positive about this is he wasn't the reason they lost the game.
Okay.
And no, but Kevin, here's the challenge I think with Sam Darnold is, can he do what he did when the pressure wasn't on, when the pressure is on? And the upside of this year versus last year is he didn't do anything to kill him in this last game, and they do have the number 1 seed, where they lost it, right, to Detroit, the final game?
Last year.
So a year removed, at least we've taken that step.
Yeah.
Last 2 years, he has 28 wins, 8,300 yards, and 60 touchdowns. And now he went to a new team, was cast off, went to a new team, and now is the number 1 seed. I think he's pretty good.
He is, and now he's got a chance in a big moment to prove.
You can't be Mr. Quarterback Wins and be like, you know who I was impressed by? The guy who scored 3 points.
He's not Mr. Quarterback Wins. You're Mr. Quarterback Wins.
But he's my friend.
Should they put in Mac Jones?
He sits next to me.
No, I'm just saying. Sam Darnold's just
Mac would have
winning.
scored 20.
He's quarterback.
So it's him and Brady are the only guys to win 14 games back. Live from New York. It's First Things First overtime. Today, can Aaron Rodgers make a run to the Super Bowl? Remember, we got a new open. Meanwhile, did the Bears get exposed by the Lions yet again, Danny?
Right.
That one wasn't good. What did they prove?
Right.
I'll tell you what they proved. You guys can't get a 4,000-yard passer.
Oh, yeah.
Wait till next year.
And finally, the 49ers ran into what might be the best defense in the league.
Great defense.
Are we surprised Purdy came up short and was outplayed by Sam Darnold, who just has
backup.
Just has 28 wins in the last 2 years. No big deal. Alongside Danny Parkins, Nick Wright, and Chris Broussard, I'm Kevin Wilds. Danny?
Yes.
Were you impressed with Sam Darnold's performance with getting the 1 seed?
I thought Sam Darnold was fine. That defense, though. My God.
Right.
A real 1 seed.
That defense is.
That is a 1 seed.
That is.
Well, what's wrong with
Seems
that?
like
It's a shot at Bo Nix.
A little bit of a shot at Bo Nix.
Why?
Yeah, that's an impressive statement win.
It is. Can you imagine having the opportunity to put real American dollars on the Seahawks minus just 1.5 and choosing not to do that? I can't.
Are we talking gambling? Yeah, it was a rough weekend.
Danny, you lost your crown, your regular season crown.
I mean,
He had an overwhelming lead.
Yes.
And then
it was
went
over.
0 for weeks 17 and 18.
Wow.
Double or nothing for the playoffs.
What? Separate, buddy.
Separate?
Yeah.
Separate.
It does end after the regular
It's a
season. I know
regular
you
season,
said
regular
season, and then there is a separate playoff.
Choked down the stretch.
Choked.
Very much like the Ravens.
Ravens are done.
Wow.
Steelers are just getting started. Lamar threw 3 touchdowns, but Tyler Loop, this is his first kick inside 50 yards all year, and the Ravens are headed home. Danny, what was the number 1 reason in your mind that the Ravens lost?
John Harbaugh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Out there kicking.
So that's the thing. He can't make the kick, but he can do everything to make the kick easier. And if Lamar Jackson is cooking in the 4th quarter, maybe put the ball in your MVP's hands and let him have a zone read or a 1-read pass. Hey, complete this pass. If it's not there, throw it away. Give the ball to Derrick Henry. Do something to make the kick closer. And if you don't like that, I know he can't be the guy who falls down in coverage and all of it, but I'm surprised it's 5:02. I'm surprised he's still employed right now. It's 18 years. And the overarching trend, and I think it was reflected in this game, he has a Super Bowl, no doubt. He has all those playoff appearances, only 3 losing seasons. He would have offers if he got fired. He would be a desirable coach. But sometimes it's just in the best interest of everyone to change. And one of the things that has been a defining characteristic of John Harbaugh since he's been in Baltimore is close losses. Like losses like yesterday. They have the most. Yep. They have the most. In the last 18 years, no organization has more losses by 5 points or less than the Baltimore Ravens. And this year they were 0-4. And I think like 1 year or 2 years of that, it can be like random small sample. But if you keep losing the close games, that's that stuff in the margins that I do think is a reflection on coaching. They're not going to move on from Lamar Jackson. Something needs to be different. So, yeah, I think it was Harbaugh in the game, and I think it's Harbaugh for the season.
I agree with a lot of that on Harbaugh. That's not my answer as to why they lost the game. But all these losses, including yesterday, like when you have a team that consistently finds a way to lose, whatever, it's going to be something. Yesterday, the offense played well in the second half. The defense didn't. The defense played well in the first half. The offense really didn't. I mean, Henry was huge. But they always find a way to lose, whether it's a lot of penalties, whether it's unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, whatever it might be, and that a lot of times does you reflect coaching. My answer they lost because the dude missed the kick. And I'm not going to sit here. They didn't push Pittsburgh all over the field. In fact, second half, Pittsburgh bullied them. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to sit here and say, if Lamar did this or, it was a close, hard-fought game. Both teams had a right to feel like they should have won the game. If this guy, and I hear what you're saying, I agree with Harbaugh and what he said, though, Danny. The risk of I get how great Derrick Henry is. But, and I don't think, Nick, it's based on him fumbling 4 times this year. I just think there's a risk. Pittsburgh is great at punching out the ball. And if Derrick Henry had fumbled, you gave him the ball, he ran for 3 yards and fumbled, all Harbaugh would hear about is why you didn't kick the ball. It's a 44-yarder.
Not fumbling.
He might have.
You
would have thought he wouldn't have fumbled.
No, but
he had a great game against Buffalo in week 1 and fumbled.
But if your number one objective is don't fumble versus your number one objective is getting yards and also don't fumble.
I think there's a 99.999% chance he doesn't. But if he did, and it was 44 yards. I get it if it was 52 or something like that.
Go ahead.
It was 44 yards. He has to make that kick, Danny.
Sure,
I'm sorry.
He has
got to make that kick.
You also could throw it. You don't have to hand it off. You could throw it. It's allowed.
Make the kick.
So you have a lot of options. You have 14 seconds, 1 timeout.
Yeah.
I would not have thrown it because, in all honesty, I don't, and this is not an indictment singularly on Lamar. I'd feel the same way, oddly, about Josh Allen, who's what I was going to say is I don't trust him not to take a sack. It's not that he might throw an interception.
Could be a tip ball.
Right.
It could be anything.
So I wouldn't have thrown it. I would have run the ball, and what I certainly wouldn't have done is call a play to make the field goal longer, which is what they did.
It's 2 yards.
So, but I also think that, Brew, I feel a little differently than you about how easy a 44-yarder with the season on the line for a rookie kicker in the hardest stadium in the NFL to kick in, right after he just watched a great kicker miss an extra point.
In a very strange way.
I know it's a job. I know, Brew, I know it's a job, but it's a job that he's never been tested in. This is this wasn't.
And he had the kickoff out of bounds
Right,
earlier.
that's the other thing I was going to say. He's already having a shaky game that also we didn't know, and I don't know if John Harbaugh knew, I don't know if the coaching staff knew, but evidently Lamar yelled at him about the kickoff out of bounds. I only know that because Lamar said it. Lamar told us, because Lamar was asked, did you talk to the kicker after the game? He's like, no.
That's probably a no-go. We got to ask Coach about that.
It was weird to me, but
don't do it. Yeah, I know, man.
So
I don't think he said that.
But Lamar did say, he was like, yeah, I was livid, but then I told him I know he's going to get it back, like something. But it was, yeah.
But Nick, I hear what you're saying. It is a tough situation.
Yeah.
The kicker, that's a tough job. Most times you step out there, it's life or death.
No, I
mean, you know what I mean. In a football sense,
29 for 30.
I get it, but that's what you do.
That, but my point is, if you're saying it's 99% Derrick Henry doesn't fumble, because I do think, and the reason I think it was cruel to the players, and it feels awful, but someone's going to leave this game feeling sick because if he makes that kick, Chris Boswell, who is a legitimately great player,
feels terrible.
is I cost it. Somebody's going to leave this game feeling terrible. This is how this Ravens season was supposed to end. The season started with Derrick Henry fumbling in 3 straight games. It ends maybe because they don't give the ball to Derrick Henry because they're afraid he's going to fumble. The season starts with the defense unable to get a stop. It ends with the defense playing great for 10 weeks, whatever it was, until all of a sudden they can't get a stop. The season starts with Lamar playing great, them playing very, very poorly for a stretch. This game, he does absolutely nothing for the first 3 quarters, then plays maybe the best quarter of his NFL life at the end. This Ravens team is 8-9. And you know what their record should be? 8-9. They were not going at no point this season. No point can you point to consecutive games where it's like, man, they are putting it all together. So winning this game would have been consecutive games of them putting it all together. So like the Harbaugh piece, I agree with you in this regard.
Because Lamar didn't play last week. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. You're right. You're totally right. I didn't think about that. I just meant the team as a whole played great. But you're right. I didn't think about that. I think, assuming you are bringing Lamar back, which I assume they will do, that you can't just run it back.
No.
And that's why. And so it is very risky. If you just run it back, why would it be different?
Can I just play?
Well, quickly, just real quick, to what Danny said, that's culture. I talk about the defensive culture. They need a culture change. They need their culture right now. The last few years is we underachieve and we beat ourselves and we find a way to lose. That's what it is.
But if I was John Harbaugh, you're trying to fire me. Like, why shouldn't we fire you? Like, because Kyle Hamilton got hurt in the game and our guy missed a 44.
We were 8-8.
I mean, he was 29 for 29, under 50. I let him kick it, thinking he's going to be 30 for 30. He wasn't. He's 29 for 30, and our defensive star went down, so Aaron Rodgers started to pick us apart.
The answer, KW, and I think...
And if that didn't happen, we're in the playoffs.
But here's the response. So you're John Harbaugh, and I'm trying to fire you, and you say that. You know what? You're right. So ask me again why I'm firing you.
Why are you firing me?
Because the AFC Championship game 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Because that was the moment, and we gave you a couple chances to come back from it, and so maybe this year's unfair, but that was the moment. And since then we have gotten each year progressively further from the goal, and each year progressively more excruciating losses. So now we got to move on.
Yeah, he's underachieved in Lamar's prime, right?
Yeah.
Like the team as a whole, in terms of winning in the playoffs, have underachieved with Lamar.
And now
time to go.
And now you don't get a chance to in the playoffs.
I think
it's risky.
You're playing with fire.
You might end up hiring
It's always
a doofus.
risky.
You always run the doofus
I
risk.
get that.
By the way, at this point, he's probably coming back. If they haven't fired him by now.
18 years he's been the coach for longer than the Ravens have been.
That's part of it.
If I'm telling you guys right now, if he comes back, then there is a much bigger offseason story involving the Ravens we're going to be talking about for months, which is Lamar's future with the team. Yeah. Okay. If John Harbaugh comes.
Rodgers almost threw for 300 yards while leading 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns drives. Steelers get themselves a date with the Texans in their pass rush. Danny, do you think they've got a shot at making a real run here?
Absolutely not.
This guy.
They would be, there's 14 playoff teams. They would be my
13th, but ahead of just the Panthers.
Yeah, sure. That's right.
That's what you were going to say.
Not behind the Panthers. Yeah. Right. But they have a low offensive ceiling. They have a defense that seems gettable. They have a quarterback who is not mobile, who doesn't want to get hit, whose path very likely could be to make a run. I count that as winning multiple playoff games, having to go through Houston's pass rush and then Denver's pass rush.
How are their offenses?
Not great.
So how many points do you think you need to beat those teams?
24?
Right. So you don't think that's on the board?
No.
Okay.
I don't. In back-to-back weeks in the playoffs, a lot of things needed to break their way in a weird spot. Guys needed to fall down. Guys needed to miss kicks.
They also needed to be stuffed on the 1-yard line. They also had things work against them. They got stuffed on the 1-yard line, cost them 7 points.
That was a bad play.
Oh yes, but I'm saying like that. That worked against them. They got stuffed on one of those 4th downs you love so very much early in the game, in a spot Tomlin normally wouldn't do it. They missed an extra point. Their defense just had 2 what the hell just happened coverage busts. Right. That, you know what I mean? So they had their
defense has not been very good though. Like, they have the highest paid defense in the NFL that has underachieved all year. So like, they will go into the game with Houston with the worst of the two defenses.
And maybe the better offense.
By a small margin. By a small margin.
Do you think it's fair? So this is what I wrote down. Because when we were doing predictions week, it was always like the riskiest option was to think that Mike Tomlin was going to break the 500 streak.
Yeah.
And yet again, we were all wrong. 19 seasons.
Not Brew. Brew had him in the playoffs, I think.
did too, actually.
I did him in the playoffs.
I was like, this is it.
We're wrong.
Yeah. And if he was 6-0 in his last 6 playoff games, we'd be like, money in the bank. Whereas if you're 0-6 in your last 6 playoff games, feels
But
like
that makes sense, though.
What do you mean?
We should take that into consideration.
That's what I'm saying. So should we have the same confidence in him in the regular season? Should we have the same lack of confidence in the postseason?
In fairness to him, he hasn't had very good teams. So just to get to the playoffs was an achievement. Most of those 6 games.
And whatever we think of Rodgers, you would agree, Brew. Rodgers is the best quarterback he's had in the last 5.
Since Ben was still good.
Since Ben's
Yeah, I give you that. Look, I think they'll lose. Right now, I'm looking at Houston beating them. We'll see when we make our picks later in the week. But right now, I think Houston beats them because of that pass rush. You know, they got 2 stone-cold great rushers in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. And one reason I thought Rodgers was so great, particularly without DK Metcalf, was he was comfortable yesterday. The Ravens have no pass rush. They couldn't make him uncomfortable, and so he could just dissect them the way he did. He's not going to be able to do that. Even if they don't sack him a lot, he is going to be pressured and getting rid of the ball quickly. We saw against Cleveland, when he was under some pressure as far as the rush, he got rid of the ball too quickly. They only scored 6 points. So I do expect Houston right now, the way I'm feeling, to beat them. But if they do beat Houston, Danny, I'm just looking at the experience level of the quarterbacks in the AFC. And if I think Jacksonville has a good chance, spoiler alert, to beat Buffalo. And if that happens, then Josh Allen's gone, and Aaron Rodgers has way more experience than the rest of the field combined.
But if we're going to pick the playoffs based on quarterback experience, then
I'm just saying,
they're
but
the
he's
Super Bowl
playing
favorites.
smart.
But hold on. But I don't want to pick the playoffs based on Super Bowl experience. I also don't want none of what's happened to matter. So here's why I don't know anybody on TV that's been more pessimistic or maybe harder, and some people have said very personal, I haven't tried to be, about Aaron Rodgers than me. But the way the last month has gone has to matter. The fact that Danny and Brew both made the point all last week. The Ravens defense, it was a packed stat. The Ravens defense is awesome, actually. Best in the league, say, over this stretch of period, this stretch of time. You talked about
Philly.
it. Philly was, but the Ravens defense was one of them. The Steelers just, without DK Metcalf, just scored 26 points. Easily could have been more, as getting stuffed at the 1. It's not because there was a bunch of turnovers. There was 1 turnover. They got 3 points off that turnover. It wasn't some special teams miracle. Right. Rodgers is playing his best ball of the year. All of those things have to matter as far as the ceiling we put on this offense. And the defense with T.J. Watt coming back, Cam Hayward looked pretty good to me yesterday. And, oh, by the way, I don't know if you know, the game's on Monday. Mike Tomlin, LeVar Ball on Mondays at home, never lost, 12-0. And so
this guy loves betting trends.
It's 23-2 overall and 12-0 at home on Monday nights. It's not nothing. And so, yeah, I'm giving them a shot. Against a Texans team, 22-3, pardon me. Against a Texans team that has not looked good the last couple weeks.
No, that part is true. And I've said it all week or all year. I'm going to say it all week. Every team in the playoff field has flaws. This isn't like a ringing endorsement of the Texans. I just think they've got a very low ceiling.
All right, head over to Chicago.
Yeah, let's do it.
Bears lose to the Lions again.
No big.
But with Philly also losing, they stay the number 2 seed. Bears were hibernating before waking up in the 4th, putting up 16 points and clawing their way back in the game.
I thought we didn't do puns.
This is just describing a bear.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Before Goff and Amon-Ra set up a field goal to win it. Here's Caleb.
Not good enough. not good enough to win this game, not good enough to win, the upcoming games. And so we got to get better, all sides of the ball. But speaking on offense, whatever happens on the other side of the ball, it's not something that we can control. So we have to control what we can, and we got to come out starting fast, being better, and we'll do that here coming up.
Are you concerned at all, Danny?
No more so than I was before the game. Like they are what I thought they were, to paraphrase Denny Green. Like their offense is better than that. Ben Johnson apparently told Aaron Andrews it was our simplest game plan of the year. I thought it was a little weird to go into a game with like a vanilla game plan but play all of your starters.
Yeah.
Like kind of sends mixed like, are you going for it or are you not? It seemed like he was trying to have a little bit of both there. So I know that will not be the game plan for them against Green Bay. I think their offense will move the ball on Saturday night against
They were
the Packers.
trying not to score points?
It's not that they were trying not to score. He just said he said it was a simple game plan that they did not execute well.
But you know what?
But the defense is bad. The defense is bad.
And the offense is bad for 3 quarters.
The offense is hot and cold.
Caleb has improved greatly and shown superstar potential, no question about it. But right now, I mean, the field is littered with young quarterbacks who haven't proven much. But he doesn't look good enough to lead them to the Super Bowl. Like, he's great in the fourth quarters. And they have to find a way to channel his fourth quarter play in the first 3 quarters if they want a legitimate chance of getting out of the NFC.
Do you agree with this statement? The only reason this loss was not horrible is because Philly lost. Like if they play their starters to secure the 2 seed, Philly rests their guys not caring about it. If you lose and Philly wins and now you fall to the 3 seed, which evidently you cared about by playing your starters or showing that, then it's a truly horrible loss because Philly ended up losing. Then it takes a lot of the sting out of it. But this was, you're down 16-0 and tried. The only silver lining I would say is it was a reminder you're not always going to be able to pull it out of the fire. You know what I mean? That you're not going to be able to do. They came back,
tied it, then lost.
Yes.
And Ben Johnson clearly was caught on the sideline saying that he should have gone for it on the 4th and 5 instead of punting it away.
I thought that was un-Ben Johnson-like.
It was shocking.
It was almost blowing a 16-point lead in the final minutes. You know what's worse than that, Parco?
What's that, Nick?
I don't know. Having a picks championship in your pocket, and then in week 17, doing that. Let me move out of the way. Let me just move out of the way.
Man.
That's 0-3, but you still had a lead going into week 18. Let's see how that one went. That's 0-6 down the stretch. Which then, of course, means with my 3-0 week 18 that we're back. So I have an announcement, KW. You're going to like this,
that
KW.
Is gross.
Because all year long, Danny has worn this stupid crown when he's done the picks.
I earned that crown.
And you might say, Nick, are you now going to wear this crown? No, I'm not a child. However, and I have been waiting for 2 years for a reason that I keep this in my drawer.
Oh, man.
Because we now, for the playoffs, have a hat more befitting you.
Gosh.
KW.
No,
for the playoffs?
Been waiting.
You don't want
It's been waiting. We've been trying to find a use for this.
No, we haven't.
Yes, we have.
You bought that with your own money.
Yes. I knew it would be useful. Let me go ahead and see.
Danny,
let me just see.
You let him do it.
There we go. There we go. That's what happens. 0-6 down the stretch. I repped the regulation, guys. I had our backs.
I chose.
Live by the silly hat, die by the silly hat.
I'm going to get you in the playoffs.
Sorry about that, Danny.
Get you in the playoffs.
Not great. Coming up next.
Talk about your all-time
Saturday.
I thought I had a rough
Seahawks
weekend.
or the 49ers.
Yeah, it was rough, bro.
But first things first, overtime continues.
Not a good look for him.
No, he loves that hat.
I love that hat.
Welcome back. We've got Coach Mangini and Willie Colon hanging out. The Seahawks took care of the Niners, clinching the 1 seed. 49ers fall all the way to the 6 in a crazy game Saturday night. Brock Purdy could just not get it going against that Seattle defense, with the Niners putting up just 3 points. Here's Brock Purdy on how he responds from the loss and the Niners moving forward.
We can't dwell on it. We have a pretty quick turnaround here, and we got to go win next week. So
But our team has been through so much adversity, guys going down, next guy up. People have counted us out, and that's fine. And they can say what they want, but for us to go on the road and find a way to win, we've done it before, and that's going to be our goal. So we got to take it one day at a time, get better from this film, heal up, and go find a way.
So, guys, the question is, did that game say more about the Seahawks or the 49ers? And for me, it was Seattle. But in order to tell you about Seattle, I'm going to talk about the 49ers. The 49ers were one of the best offenses in football since Brock Purdy came back. Kyle Shanahan is one of, if not the best offensive coaches in football. And Seattle just held San Francisco to the fewest yards in any game since Kyle Shanahan has been the coach of the Niners. Look at what the Niners offense had been doing leading into that game, weeks 11 through 17 since Brock Purdy came back from the injury. They were the best offense in football, basically any way you look at it. Points, third down, red zone, efficiency, everything. And they held them to 3 points. That was a physical game. I thought it was incredible. I thought it felt like a playoff game. But I came away from it so impressed with Seattle's defense because it was like, if they can do that to Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy when they're playing like this, they can do it to anybody, Coach.
Yeah, when you look at it, so Seattle was 6th in sacks, 6th in takeaways at the end of the season. They're top 10 in most defensive categories. So they had that. Where I was disappointed from a Seattle perspective is San Francisco's defense was nowhere near that. Dead last in sacks. I think middle of the pack or lower in takeaways, 25th in pass defense. And you look at a guy like Phillip Rivers who goes out and lights them up. A lot of people have lit up that defense. And for Seattle to not do that, to me, was a concern. Now, the good news is...
They were pretty efficient, though, right? Darnold was efficient.
He was efficient. And the good news is last year when Sam Darnold had a chance to secure the number 1 spot and the bye, he couldn't do it against Detroit. And this year, at least he didn't make any mistakes that then ended up losing him the number 1 overall seed. So it's hard to say the benefit or the progress that Sam Darnold made is he didn't make any mistakes in the big moment. But it is progress from where he was last year at this time.
Yeah, I'm with you, DP. I learned a lot about Seattle, and I think you have to credit Mike McDonald because as much as we want to talk about Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold, this was 2 coaches who really played chess with each other, right? And you talk about Kyle Shanahan tried to win with shift emotions, and McDonald really had this defense step by step and really prepared for everything that happened on that field. And I think when you talk about what Seattle does well right now, they play defense. That's their identity. And they were able to run the ball. They kept the offense on time. And I know you don't want to highlight the fact that Sam played mistake-free football, but he needed this type of game to go into the playoffs because his resume as a playoff quarterback is shaky. So everything aligned for the Seahawks. And I felt like, man, if there's a team that's ready to make a legit run, they needed a signature win. They got it, and now they're ready for the playoffs.
I do think it's a little bit different, too, when you play within the division. You have so much more experience against division opponents. So that does lend itself to having games like this, is the familiarity you have with your opponent.
So obviously I didn't play the game, but it jumped off the screen how physical that game was. Sure. Like that was a mugging, both ways. And I thought San Francisco rose to the moment. And I know they get 1 extra day because it was a Saturday game and now they're playing on Sunday. But bouncing back from a game like that, if you're San Francisco, I feel like Philly's getting the Niners in a very good spot. Like, I don't know if that's like a true takeaway, but that's a tough game for San Francisco to bounce back from, I would think.
Yeah, but I think I'm worried about, from a health standpoint, Brock Purdy. He took a nasty hit at the end of that game. Yeah. Now they were talking about a stinger, and if he could have, if there was an extra quarter, he could have gone back out there. But I don't know if anybody knows. Philly has a damn good defense too. And now the Niners are coming to play. They're coming to play the Eagles, and I just feel like up front the Niners have to be a lot better if they want a chance against the Eagles.
And to me, Philly made some plus decisions and taking some rest here, where San Francisco was essentially playing a playoff type game, and the intensity from the regular season to playoffs. And Willie can tell you this is so dramatically different. It's a big jump. So they're already at that level, and it had all that contact and emotion that went with it, and a loss, where Philly was able to take a week and take a step back. So I think it's going to be a big edge for Philly.
Well, I really appreciate Willie's patience letting us talk about this game before we get to Pittsburgh. And the Steelers get that AFC North crown. 2 very clutch drives from Aaron Rodgers, including, of course, the go-ahead touchdown. Then there was the missed field goal, of course, by the Ravens as time expired. Here is Aaron Rodgers being philosophical on the win.
proud of the way that we responded multiple times after they took a lead, and it just takes a little belief at this point in the season. There's 14 teams that'll be left. 18 will be playing their off season. It's good to be a part of the 14 after so many years. 22 we lost in the last game to make the playoffs. 23 I was out. 24 we were terrible. So it's nice to be back in this position.
Willie, do you think the Steelers feel vindicated by Aaron Rodgers in that game
yesterday?
Yeah,
I'll say it. Yeah. And listen, I said here Friday, I told you one aspect the Steelers had to win, to have a shot was on third down. And they did that because I thought during the month of December they struggled on third down. Going into this game, they was a lot better. They were 9 of 16. And Baltimore gave up, I think right now they gave up 24 first downs. But I think the vindication comes from not having your alpha number one receiver in DK Metcalf, not having Mount Washington. You missed a field goal. You gave up three timeouts. And
missed the extra point.
Missed the extra point. I mean, there was so much that went wrong. You had 5 lead changes in the fourth quarter, and you still came out the building with a W. So it felt like the Steelers got back with their old girlfriend, and her name is Destiny. We talk about this team being destined to make a run. How can you not feel like that after everything I acquired that happened in this game, and you did it with a 42-year-old quarterback? So, yeah, we back.
Oh, wow. All the way back. All the way back. Coach, back. You see it the same way?
No, not
Shocking,
close.
Yeah.
I see them being vindicated.
Well, you're just a dark cloud.
I see them being vindicated in the sense that Justin Fields goes to the Jets, gets $40 million, gets benched. Russell Wilson goes to the Giants. He gets like $10 million, gets benched. They go get Aaron Rodgers. They pay him like $14 million. It's a fraction of what other starting quarterbacks are getting. And I didn't think it would work. I didn't think you were going to get this version of Aaron Rodgers. And he's done a great job working with Arthur Smith. I was really impressed the way they talked about him working with the receivers both in the building and outside of the building. And it looks like he's trying to erase all of that negativity that's been surrounding him over the course of the last couple years.
And I'm glad you said that because our other counterpart, Greg Jennings, sat here and said, Aaron Rodgers wasn't brought here to erase the deficiencies of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yes, he was. He was here to elevate the offense. He was here to pretty much allow this offensive unit to graduate in some aspects. And I thought we saw that in this game. I thought we finally saw, he was frustrated at times, but there's been games where we've seen him pretty much like he was ready to tap because nobody can get on his level. As of late, you have MVS, Adam Thielen. You see Fairmouth pop off the tape now. So I think this offense is starting to arrive, and they're starting to get on his level from a mental standpoint. And schematically, they looked better last night.
So I still have huge questions and frankly, doubts about their ability to beat Houston and deal with that pass rush and certainly make any sort of run.
Oh, we have one too, by the way.
What's that?
We have a pass rush too. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. But C.J. Stroud's in his mid-20s. Aaron Rodgers doesn't seem to like being
pressured.
That's
what they said last night.
But he also
AFC North champ.
He wasn't pressured at all yet last night. I would just say, in terms of the vindication, this has been a huge success.
100%.
Aaron Rodgers is playing his best football at the end of the year. They had a winning record. He went undefeated. He loves rivalries. We'd always talk about Bears-Packers as this great rivalry. He went 2-0. Against the Ravens in the rivalry of the 21st century in the NFL. He didn't lose Mike Tomlin's, consecutive seasons without having a losing record. He got him back to the playoffs. He didn't go out as an embarrassment with the Jets. So, whenever this ends this season, I think he's walking off.
Wow,
I think he's walking off.
You are really
right.
Kind on this vindication.
I'm just, I thought there was a lot. You did too. There was a lot of disaster potential.
Both of you guys are dark clouds.
For this year, and it wasn't a disaster.
Yeah,
they won 10 games and made the playoffs and won the division.
You guys are all waiting for the car crash.
But hold on, they lost against the Browns last week to put themselves in the position they were putting themselves in. And this to me felt like watching Tampa, Carolina, two flawed teams. That you watch the game, it's an important game, it decides who wins the division, and probably next week it's not going to matter very much.
Listen, I agree. I'll be picking Houston, but last night's game was it a good game or was it compelling theater?
It was an Oscar-worthy game. I don't know.
It was compelling theater.
I don't know. Why are you such a hater?
Two flawed teams that played a great
kicks,
game.
Guys falling down. That wasn't great.
What do you mean? You got to see old Lamar Jackson,
a 40-yard field goal
Cowboy Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, again,
both
great
run games.
theater.
Defense showed up in the last minutes. What do you want? Missed field goals.
Defense didn't show up. Defense
it was just missing fireworks at the end of the game.
Time now for He Said, We Said. You hear the best sound, then we give you the analysis. This morning, the Browns fired their head coach, Kevin Stefanski. This was Shedeur Sanders after their win in Week 18 on his first NFL head coach. Take a listen.
He's been real tough. He's been tough, you know, and it's good. I think I grew and I learned a lot from him. I think this week we had a conversation just about things, you know what I'm saying, just about things in general. And I feel like, you know, we grew to understand each other.
I think this is a massive mistake by the Browns. What? Who do you think you are? You're the Browns. If you're going to fire a coach who immediately is going to be the top candidate in New York and other places, who's a 2-time coach of the year in 6 years with a couple of playoff appearances when he's had a handful of quarterbacks and a couple of GMs, like, Stefanski is not the problem in Cleveland. I'm shocked by the arrogance here of firing Kevin Stefanski.
Well, I think the biggest problem with this organization is that, you know, you can't fault them at the time. They brought on Deshaun Watson, and it never panned out. And so that set them back. And now you're forced with 2 rookie QBs to develop. Like, Shedeur Sanders was supposed to be a redshirt year for him and then turned into a crash course on how to play quarterback. And then Stefanski was forced to develop him and figure out, how can I elevate this kid's game from a QB standpoint. And I thought over the last couple of weeks, we saw Shedeur get better, and we started their relationship seem not as contentious, and they just didn't pan out well. I like Kevin Stefanski, but I think some of the things that happened around him were bigger than him and out of his jurisdiction, but it ultimately falls on the head coach.
It does, but to your point, he's 2-time head coach of the year within 6 years, right? So he's in a division with 2 head coaches that are arguably have a chance to go to the Hall of Fame. He's in a division with 2 quarterbacks that are arguably 2 of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. He found a way to beat Pittsburgh, which you know how big that is for Cleveland and how inconsistent they've been able to do that. So now you move on from them and you think, okay, we're going to go get better, but you see it every single year where the grass is greener,
the turnover,
and you go get somebody else and it's a disaster. And to your point, there's Deshaun Watson, but they also moved on from Baker Mayfield. The draft this year, they draft 2 different quarterbacks. So there's a lot of personnel moves too that he was, I'm sure, a part of, but he ultimately didn't have the final decision making of whether or not to make that move. Came from ownership and the GM.
Great situation. Next up, here's Lamar Jackson immediately after a loss being asked about his future. Take a listen.
We just lost a game, you know, a divisional game, you know, a game to put us in the playoffs. I'm not even thinking about that right now, to be honest with you. I'm still caught up in what just happened, you know? That's not my focus right now.
So, I think the Ravens are going to be one of the biggest stories of the offseason because they were the biggest disappointment of the season. My assumption is the easiest move here for change is to move on from John Harbaugh because it's easier to move on from the coach than the 2-time MVP quarterback who turns 29 in a couple of days. But either way, they were the preseason Super Bowl favorites, and they did not make the playoffs. They were the biggest disappointment in the NFL. So Lamar's not ready to talk about the future. You better get used to it because it's all we're going to talk about this offseason.
Yeah, I didn't think it was fair to ask him that question in that moment. I imagine he was shell-shocked by the fact that they missed a 40-yard field goal. And if they had made that field goal, we're having a radically different conversation about Lamar and about Harbaugh's future. And you can move on from the head coach, but when you do that, especially a guy who's been there that long, there's so much change that goes into it, and the organizations that have consistency typically have efficiency. And this team could be back in the Super Bowl mix next season very easily, where you change the head coach, you change the coordinators, you change the philosophy, all those things. Now you don't know what it's going to turn out to be. Could it be better? Maybe. Could it be a lot worse? Probably.
Yeah, I don't agree with the firing of John Harbaugh, but I understand Baltimore's frustration, especially when you're looking across the street at the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you think at one point this team was 1-5, and they can never right the ship. The defense went bad. Lamar, he was on injury. Derrick Henry was having ball control issues. And then you look across the street to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This team, Mike Tomlin was getting fired Mike Tomlin chance. They were booing Renegade. They stopped that, and they respond with 3 straight wins. And so if you're Baltimore, you're saying, man, like, we just need a coach to understand, like, we need to right the ship when the ship's on fire. And Harbaugh doesn't seem to have that knack to do so you can understand why they're upset.
Really, right the ship? They lost to Cleveland a week ago.
Coach, we're AFC Championship. Get over it.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
They missed
We're AFC North champs. You worried about Cleveland. Myles Garrett didn't get the sack.
Missed
We're
a
AFC North
40-yard
champs.
field goal.
We had a historic win against Baltimore. You're bringing up the Browns. Forget
Willie's not
about
here
it.
to
What
talk
are you
about-
talking about
he's
the
not here to
Browns
talk
for?
about old
You're
stuff.
Your ship was taking on water, Willie. That thing was sinking, and
we have a crown. You didn't even have a team to put a crown on. What are you talking about?
He's not here to talk about
We're not
old
here to
stuff.
talk about the Browns.
It's ancient history.
Thank you.
8 days ago.
You don't even have a head coach. You talk about the Browns.
Fine.
Kevin Stefanski's filling out a new contract. Please.
Speaking of head coaches,
Browns.
Nick Sirianni had a bold strategy heading into Week 18. Did it backfire? Take a listen.
I knew this was an outcome that these things could happen. Like I said to you guys, one thing I could guarantee was giving them rest. I couldn't guarantee anything else. And us being healthy and going into the playoffs healthy is a big deal for us. And, that's served us well in the past. And so, again, I know there'll be debate on that. But, again, I have to do what's best, what I think is best for the football team moving forward. And that's what I did.
So this isn't the hottest television take, but I thought what the Eagles did was totally reasonable, and I thought what the Bears did was totally reasonable. Like, the Bears controlled their path to the 2 seed. They win, they get it. The Eagles did not. They needed to win and have the Bears lose. So because they didn't totally control it, the Eagles, who are the Super Bowl champs, who have a belief of we can go anywhere and beat anyone, they're going to prioritize rest. The team that actually controlled their own path, they just had to win, said, no, we want the best possible seed. Yeah. Now, the Bears lost, and so they got lucky that the Eagles also lost with their backups. But I thought what Nick Sirianni did was totally reasonable given his team's situation.
Yeah, I thought it was totally reasonable, too. And since losing the number 2 seed, getting a bye as well, and that number 1 seed is so valuable. So to be able to give the guys a week off, and how sick would you be if you lost Saquon or you lost, take your pick, AJ, any of those key guys in a game that, could have affected your seeding, but now you go into the playoffs without one of your best players. To me, it made a lot of sense to give the guys a week off.
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of noise. Listen, they dropped to the 3 seed. They got the Niners coming, and next week when they turn rest into rhythm, and they look efficient coming out early and hot, all of it becomes falls into fruition. So I'm not worried about it. It was a smart move.
Well, in 2 weeks, if the bracket holds and the divisional round is in Chicago, Philly will. Should we have done it? Should we like that? Well, that's the scenario, because then the game would have been in Philly instead of Chicago in the divisional round. Like, that's what they cost themselves a chance at.
Yeah, but I think it goes to Coach's point. The Niners playing the Seahawks. The Niners are playing playoff-style football, so they'll be ready for the fight. The Eagles have to prove that the rest was worth it, and they'll be ready for the fight coming out the gate. So that's my only. If they come out hot, I think it is what it is.
And maybe Green Bay and Chicago. Maybe Chicago is going to regret having Green Bay as their first.
I certainly regret bringing up that hypothetical. I'm not ready to talk about that hypothetically yet, Coach.
Philly still gets the game.
Sure. It doesn't always go according to the bracket, but it's going to with the 2 seed. Myles Garrett, historic season. We'll put it into context next.
Browns.
Oh, wow. Sure, they fired their coach this morning, but it's not all bad for Cleveland. They got a record setter. Myles Garrett sets the record. Passes T.J. Watt, Michael Strahan, got Joe Burrow. Does it look like Burrow took a sit-down for him? I know that's not Favre Strahan. You guys are 100.
It was like a deep dive.
Thank you.
100%.
You thought so?
That is not a conventional sack.
So can we show the sack?
They slid away from Garrett.
He clearly beats the guy.
Oh, he beats the guy.
Nobody's saying that, but look at Burrow respond immediately.
Yeah, because he didn't want to get blown up in the last game of the season. How many minutes
Coach,
were left?
it's 5 minutes on the clock in the fourth quarter. It's going on second down. How about you use your legs, which you have?
He doesn't want to go into vacation with a big injury.
Burrow gave him one, 100%. I don't even think it's. I think it's more. I think this is worse. I see the Favre one. You can kind of. This one seems clear cut. He threw him a sack.
Oh well, see, I think the Favre one he just rolled out right next
to
Michael
feels
Strahan.
no different.
He talked to him beforehand.
But this one feels no different to me.
When I saw it, my initial reaction was, that doesn't look like a normal sack.
No, I agree.
Wow. coached.
You guys are harsh. The guy
Tinfoil hat. Put it on.
Sack
You just
record
laughed at the
that's been
Steelers
in there-
losing to the Browns.
This dude broke a record that's been in play for 20 plus years. Can we give him some credit for being outstanding?
Listen, Myles Garrett's probably he's probably the best defensive player of my lifetime. Like it's like Deion Sanders, J.J. Watt, Myles Garrett is like absolutely. And this I thought was the most impressive part about it. Like as Michael Strahan was talking about 17 games for 16 games. Just the number of snaps it took him to get to 23 sacks is remarkable. The size-speed combination of Myles Garrett, no one is knocking him the record this season.
I'm not taking an accomplishment.
I just thought that Burrow was in on it.
Well, the other thing is, he had the worst record of any of those three guys. So what did they finish 5 and 12?
Not as many straight pass attempts.
Yeah,
right?
well, not just straight pass attempts. I'm just talking about in terms of overall record. T.J. Watt's year they were 9-7. Strahan's year they were 7-9, and now with him having to chase the record and a losing record, you're not getting as many of the opportunities that other guys would.
Yeah, listen, kudos to him, but you can't tell me Joe didn't throw him. I'm just keeping it a buck.